Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Home Secretary says the human rights of foreign sex offenders have been prioritised over the safety of British women and girls.
Her comments come as she sets out new measures aimed at making it easier to deport criminals who abuse women.
Well, under the proposed changes, the government has pledged to strip foreign sex offenders of refugee protections and simplify deportation laws.
Sir Keir Starmer's smash the gangs policy has suffered a major setback, with the number of migrants crossing this year surpassing 40,000.
A manhunt is underway after a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island left 2 dead and 9 injured.
President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders in Berlin amid growing hopes for a peace deal in Ukraine.
Kemi Badenoch says the Conservatives will scrap the 2030 ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars if the party wins the next election.
The Duchess of Sussex reportedly has no plans to see her estranged father again and has given up hope of ever reconciling with him.
And as the comedian Jimmy Carr blasts the Chancellor's budget, we're asking, is he right to say that we should tax the old and not the rich?
A very good morning. Farewell, but for how long? Mo Salah played his part in a much-needed win for Liverpool over Brighton at Anfield. Elsewhere, Arsenal stayed top of the Premier League despite labouring to victory against Wolves, and AJV Fury looks to be on next summer.
Met Office yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force across parts of the country today. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Sophie Reaper, and this is your GB News Breakfast.
Now, it might be a fun morning this morning because Sophie's here, straight from the GB News Christmas party.
Not straight.
You got in 10 minutes ago.
Not a lot of sleep. But I'm not a big sleeper anyway, so I'm fine. I will say the worst part of it is that it was at one of those venues in a city centre where the music is so incredibly loud, and obviously...
So you speak up.
Exactly, so you're shouting to try and get over the music, and me and the other reporters are down...
to get the drink.
No, I don't go to the bar. No. So you're trying to speak to people you don't see very often, obviously, and it's just ended up in my throat being a little bit worse for wear, but I feel absolutely fine.
You see, it's also going to be fun because at 9:15 we've got all of our reporters in the studio.
A Christmas miracle. Well, we hope, anyway.
Well, yeah, except they're...
See how many of them make it.
They were all sozzled at the party last night. So, I don't know what... it could be a disaster.
They'd be far too professional for that.
Yeah.
You're joking.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah. No, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to that.
Could be a very messy post-Christmas party show.
Yes.
But anyway, not to worry.
But something to look forward to anyway, I am anyway.
Yeah, well, just to see... that lot in here.
Yeah.
I've never seen them all at the same time.
Well, this is why it's a Christmas miracle, Stephen. Our lovely viewers get to see perhaps one of us down here at a time, maybe two at a push. Never everyone. So
does that mean, but they're going to be on the sofa then?
Yeah, so we'll be shouting over to
are we not going to the sofa?
No, because
you've got your slippers
I'm still
on.
I'm still... Well, there's a slipper on one foot, but then there's, for all of our viewers who know, I had surgery 2 months ago. The cast came off yesterday, so I'm slightly more mobile. I'm off my crutches. I've got a big moon boot.
Yeah.
So
how did the dance floor cope last night?
I was enjoying myself. It was absolutely fine.
Pain was numbed by alcohol.
No, I didn't drink that much, honestly. I was very well behaved, and I left at a very reasonable time, just after 10 o'clock.
Did you?
Much earlier than I left the Christmas party last year. Much earlier.
Yeah, well.
So I was very sensible this year.
Yeah. Honestly, they're always a mess, Christmas parties, but that's part of the fun.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, look, we better move on, because there's some serious news this morning. The Home Secretary says the human rights of foreign sex offenders have been prioritised over the safety of British girls. That's quite an admission.
Indeed, her comments come as Shabana Mahmood pledges to set up specialist teams to investigate rape and serious sexual offences in every police force across the country.
Well, it's part of what the government's calling the largest crackdown on violence against women and girls in British history.
Labour also plans to limit how asylum seekers can use human rights laws, making it easier to deport foreign sex offenders.
Well, let's talk to political editor at Times Radio, Anna Mihailova. Good to see you this morning, Anna. I mean, I'm stunned. People may have thought this, people may have suggested this, but this is one heck of an admission by the Home Secretary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely extraordinary, and hearing her use that kind of language and just state what, frankly, you know, a lot of people who have read some of these stories have thought was fact for a while, but hearing her say it in the position she's in is really quite something. I mean, just to recap, she's given an interview to the Telegraph, and she says that for too long, the human rights of foreign sex offenders have been prioritised over the safety of British women and girls. What an admission that is, and how many people should, frankly, hang their heads in shame at that. But it's interesting because obviously she is in charge now. She hasn't been in the department for that long, but she has been recognised as gripping it pretty quickly compared to how, you know, often ministers take a while to get their hands around a department, never mind one as complicated as the Home Office. And she is now introducing a package of measures all about trying to curb violence on women and girls. And the focus in the Telegraph is specifically what she's mostly talking about measures which she's already introduced here on foreign sex offenders, including reforming how the ECHR is applied. And she cites a couple of cases that have been in the papers, including one where a Polish criminal saw his deportation blocked under human rights laws because he claimed to be a father figure to his nephew. Now, she's saying that under plans she's bringing in, that will no longer be the case. But the criticism of what she's doing is that she isn't going far enough in terms of the ECHR, because other people and other opposition parties think that disapplying these elements and reforming is not enough.
Now, Anna, I was just going to ask you about that. You know, this, you would think, would be a big, big win for the Labour government. Obviously, violence against women and girls is not a new issue. You know, latest figures suggesting that something like 20% of all crimes recorded in England and Wales are related to violence against women and girls. So you would perhaps think this is a big win for the Labour government. But you're saying there that they could face criticism. What more would other parties perhaps suggest that the Labour government could be doing?
Well, we have both Reform and the Conservative Party now having moved to a point where they're talking about quitting the ECHR as the only option. So that's where the big difference lies. And that's where the big political dividing line will be come the next election. And what supporters of Shabana Mahmood say is that she is doing the right thing and that the things she's bringing in will curb illegal migration and will actually show results. Of course, she's also doing police reform. She's also introducing some measures today about also changing how boys are educated about misogyny in schools, which is quite an interesting measure as well. So this is all part of a package about violence against women and girls. But I think, speaking on the immigration point specifically, whether or not she's successful is going to be one of the major issues of the election. And her supporters say that if she can bring down those small votes numbers, then she effectively neutralises reform, and she neutralises her opposition and takes it away from being such a hot political issue.
OK. And good to see you. I know we're going to talk to you a little bit later on, but for now, thanks very much indeed.
Now we go over to the States now, as a manhunt is underway following a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island, which has left 2 people dead and 9 others injured.
Well, police urge students to take shelter whilst emergency services work to secure the campus and assist the injured. Ben Leo has more.
Hello, good morning from the United States. Ben Leo here with the breaking news tonight that there's been a mass shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island. Just geographically, if you're not familiar with the area, the university is sandwiched between New York City and Boston on the east coast of America. Unfortunately, as it stands tonight, we can confirm 2 people have been killed. 8 others are in a critical condition in hospital. And crucially, the gunman, as it stands, is still on the loose. The authorities do not know where the person is, and we have very little information about his description as well. Reports suggest he was a masked male wearing all black when he entered the university during a time of exams. The manhunt is still on, it's still active, and they are yet to find the gunman. But we can confirm, as I said, 2 dead and 8 critical in hospital. President Donald Trump addressed reporters outside the White House last night upon hearing the news of the shooting. This is what he said.
So I've been fully briefed on the Brown University situation, what a terrible thing it is. And all we can do right now is pray for the victims and for those that were very badly hurt, it looks like. And we'll inform you later as to what's happening, but it's a shame. It's a shame. Just pray. Thank you very much.
So last night there was some confusion and, to be quite frank, chaos in the early stages of the shooting. Brown University releasing a statement around about an hour after the shooting first took place, saying that the gunman had been arrested, they were in custody, only to reverse on that statement around 10 minutes later, saying, apologies, a mistake, the gunman is still on the loose. Unfortunately, that retraction didn't stop President Trump posting on his own Truth Social platform, saying he wished the victims well, and he confirmed the gunman had been apprehended and was in police custody. Again, like Brown University, the president was forced to retract that statement 5 minutes later. In a press conference from the police, they described how the gunman made his way into one of the engineering departments at Brown University. They weren't sure whether he used a security card to gain access to the building. Just as some context, the university campus is 150 acres, 230 buildings, different labs, accommodation blocks and halls as well. And the police confirmed that every single building on the university site required a hard security pass to gain access. They could not confirm whether the gunman used his own pass to gain access, whether he was a student at the university, or whether indeed he perhaps slipped in a doorway amongst what they described as heavy footfall traffic because the university was holding exams at the time. There was a text message revealed from the mother of one student at the university. The mother of a Brown University pupil shared the text from her son, and the text simply read, "Mum, there's a live shooting on campus. I'm going to run. I love you." And as I record this message, last night he was still barricaded in a cupboard taking cover. Authorities have advised all students and indeed residents of the local area to take cover and shelter whilst they still search for the gunman. But as it stands, 2 dead, 8 injured in a mass shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island. For now, Ben Leo on The Late Show Live, GB News.
And there we are again. I mean, this is the problem. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And get the gun reform. I mean, I know it's a different. It seems so
It must be
straightforward
terrifying.
to us, but you know, in the States they will not reform gun laws. It's so embedded in the culture. But here we are again.
And it goes all the way up, doesn't it? Age groups. It's like what do they call kindergarten, which is like our nursery or reception, all the way up to university age. And I just think if you're a student, you must be terrified. But if you're a parent, imagine Ben described there, you know, a text that a mother received from her child. Imagine receiving that message. I can't even begin to fathom it.
Utterly horrific. Anyway, we'll keep you up to date as we get further developments on that. In the meantime, let's have a look at the weather for you with Greg Dewhurst.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather. It's a wet start this morning across the north and the west as heavy rain continues to move in from the Atlantic. A drier but chilly start across southeast England. And looking at the picture for the morning, we've got outbreaks of heavy rain across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England into Scotland. The rain driving in through the day with some strong winds. The rain turning particularly heavy over southwest Scotland, northwest England over the next 24 hours or so. Met Office amber warning in force for the rain here. Some localised flooding is likely. So do stay tuned to the forecast and updates over the coming days. Some dry weather across central southern parts through the day, but generally cloudier overall compared to yesterday. But it is the focus of the rain through the day into the evening time across the north of the UK. So looking at the details across Scotland, a wet end to Sunday. That rain's just going to be there all day. Same picture for Northern Ireland and also northern England. Yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force, where rainfall warnings also coming into force later across parts of Wales as the rain slips a little further southeastwards, but generally staying dry across southeast England, but on the cloudy side. As we head overnight, the band of rain just pushes a little further southeastwards. The rain really building over parts of Cumbria, for example, flooding expected here, and the rain also becoming heavy across Wales during the early hours. Drier though for Northern Ireland and Scotland, and turning cooler here, temperatures in single figures overnight and single figures towards the southeast where it does remain dry. For Monday, rain stretches from southwest England into Wales, the West Midlands, northern England through the day. It remains here for much of the day. Some tricky travelling conditions are likely. Either side of this band of rain, it's drier, a little brighter. A respite in the weather for Northern Ireland and Scotland. Here, temperatures a little cooler than recent days, but towards the southeast, still reaching around 12 Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, there's a big meeting underway today. President Trump's special envoy will meet Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders, including the Prime Minister, in Berlin, as Washington tries to find a plan that will end the war in Ukraine.
But Trump's peace proposal has come under fire for reflecting Moscow's demands, including giving up key territory.
Well, let's talk to Ukrainian MP Lesia Vasilenko, who joins us now. Appreciate your time this morning. Are you hopeful that this meeting will bring some good results?
We will see. I mean, we had a range of meetings so far around these 28 points which were proposed, and they turned into 20 points, then into 19. Right now, it's impossible to say where things stand. I guess that this will not yet be the definitive meeting, but another round of discussions. I don't see that there's an agreement between US, EU and Ukraine. There is an agreement between EU and Ukraine. That is that European leaders are saying that it's up to Ukraine to decide whether we're ready or not to give up any of our territories and whether this should happen. This rhetoric is actually quite strange because really it's up to the international community to decide, and the decision should be definitely be no, because appeasing the aggressor never works, and the European leaders know it better than anyone, and so does the US. In fact, the US, who had to step into the Second World War after enough appeasement was done towards Nazi Germany back in the day. This is exactly the same thing happening. History is repeating itself. Appeasing Putin never worked. No matter how much territory you give him, it will never be enough, and Putin will be stopped only if he is made to stop.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because the Trump administration is saying, you know, they really want to get this over the line by Christmas, which is now less than 2 weeks away. Yet, of course, the line from Ukraine, we're still seeing that it's continuing. I was reading this morning, an 80-year-old woman was killed just the other day. President Zelensky is still saying that Russia still aims to destroy Ukraine. So it seems like there's really a kind of conflict in the two lines that we're seeing, the line from America and the line from Ukraine. Which do you think is more accurate? Do you think it's likely we're going to see this sorted before Christmas?
I doubt that there will be any solution before Christmas. Before that, President Trump wanted to get this sorted before American Thanksgiving, which was back in November. Setting deadlines like this will not work. The only deadline that should be in place is how do we get Russia out of all of Ukraine's territory and how do we contain Russia? And there needs to be a clear policy of contesting Russia while it remains an authoritarian regime. There should be a clear policy of containment towards Russia, not towards Ukraine. Containment means to make sure that Russia is limited in its capacity to wage any wars, not just a war against Ukraine.
OK. Leslie Vasilenko, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Your thoughts on that? I mean, it's hugely difficult. We're not in that position of having to say we would cede territory. From the outside, perhaps, is it a price worth paying? But you can understand why the Ukrainians say no. Absolutely
well, especially
not.
when you're still hearing reports of shelling and deaths and whatnot. It just seems like we're hearing lines that, you know, this is, and Leslie's absolutely right there, you know, they said Thanksgiving and now they're saying Christmas, and I'm sure then the line will be by the new year.
I mean, they try to keep the pressure up, but is it the pressure? Is more pressure being applied on Ukraine as the victim in all of this than it is on Russia as the perpetrator?
That's the issue, isn't it? So I can understand it. Now, still to come, one of Britain's most significant train timetable changes comes into effect today. Simon Calder will be here next to tell us more. This is GB News Breakfast with Stephen and Sophie.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
It's 6:23 now. One of Britain's most significant train timetable changes comes into effect today.
Passengers using the East Coast Main Line will benefit from more trains and reduced journey times following a £4 billion investment over the past decade.
Yeah, LNER said the transformational changes mean it could run nearly 10,000 additional services every year.
Well, travel expert for The Independent, Simon Calder, joins us now. Simon, this is great news if you're using those trains, isn't it? But what about the rest of us?
OK, well...
Sorry to put a dampener on it.
Let's start with the good news. And this is actually really quite significant on a couple of intercity lines. So the line, actually, the East Coast Main Line from Edinburgh, from North East England and from Yorkshire to London is getting accelerated, and there are going to be more trains. Now, there's going to be some people watching in places like Darlington and Grantham who are thinking, hang on, no, but I checked and we're actually going to get a worse service because there are, in order to improve things, they've had to sort of cut out some of the stops. But the headline is that the time from Edinburgh to London comes down by about sort of 15 minutes. So it's basically 4 hours, city centre to city centre. And from Newcastle, the trains are speeding up to about 2 hours, 40 minutes or so.
That's quite something.
Which is very fast. And best of all, there's going to be 3 or sometimes 4 trains an hour from Newcastle to London. That's more than some parts of the outer edges of the Metropolitan line on the Underground in London get. So really almost a sort of turn up and go service, except of course if you turn up and go you'll be paying an absolute fortune, so better to book in advance. And elsewhere, lots of improvements in, for instance, in and around Cardiff in South Wales. They're putting on more services, they're extending hours. In the East Midlands, you've got a new seaside shuttle going, as I call it, from Matlock to Cleethorpes. There we are.
All right,
Who would have thought
nice.
it? It's not quite the Trans-Siberian from Moscow to Vladivostok.
No, but I tell you what, who doesn't want to go to Cleethorpes? So it's lovely.
Exactly, yeah. And you've got a kind of Trans-East Midlands Express from Crewe to Lincoln. Faster trains Leeds to Sheffield, more from Middlesbrough to Newcastle. So lots of improvements. And generally, the whole idea, of course, is let's put on more trains. We'll be able to deliver what passengers want, which is a train to turn up, it to be on time, there to be a seat for them, and the fare to be reasonable.
Oh, excellent. And what about this fantastic new line they've built from Cambridge to Milton Keynes?
OK, yes. Well, this is East West Rail. It actually goes from Oxford to Cambridge via Bletchley, which is very close, as you will know, to Milton Keynes. And the stretch from Oxford to Milton Keynes is supposed to be running. It should have started certainly by today. They've got the line finished. It cost billions of pounds, of course. They've got the trains ready. What they haven't got is an agreement with the unions about who opens and closes the doors on the
honestly.
train. So you've got all these trains, all this fantastic new line sitting there while people are sitting in their cars and stewing because they can't get the train because there are no trains. They do say that we will try and introduce it next year, but I'm afraid this points at the whole problem with the railway, which is the unions have a lot of control on this idea. By the way, the Chiltern Railways, who run it, they said we want to do what we do with almost all our other lines, which is the driver opens and closes the doors.
Yeah.
And the RMT union said, don't know about that. And
can I ask, is it hard to open and close a door? To me, that's just pressing a button. Am I being...
right, there is a lot more to it than that.
OK.
You've got to look at the platform train interface and make sure that that's going to be safe.
OK, so it's not quite as simple as some of our viewers might think.
It is generally, with all the proper protections in place, it is regarded as safe, and it actually operates for pretty much half the trains that people are catching. But the unions say it's not safe. And also, well, conveniently, if they do have an extra member of staff doing stuff, that's going to mean more employment for them, more cost for the taxpayer to subsidise. So it's an endless thing. And of course, the refrain from the Department for Transport has always been, well, there isn't any more money. Sorry, you've got to, we've got to do all these things, until they suddenly say, oh yeah, we're going to freeze fares, which for a lot of people is a benefit, but suddenly it does show that there is a magic money Christmas tree.
Isn't there always?
Yeah.
All right, Simon, thank you very much indeed. Good to see you. Happy travelling.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, of all those stations listed there weren't any in the northwest. I think Crewe was the closest.
Crewe?
I'm very biased. Oh,
no,
Simon's.
Forgive me, there are going to be more Avanti West Coast trains from London to Liverpool. And
I'll take it.
OK, Crewe actually has a really, many times a day, has a really good service with lots of, quite often, almost non-stop trains to London. So Crewe's doing...
There we go. I take it back. I take it back.
No, you can't trip Simon Calder up.
No, I wasn't trying to. I'm
just
complaining about the way it's been implemented. But there we go. I know that my fellow Northerners would have been saying otherwise. Why are you not asking about the Northwest? Well, what are we getting? Well, there we go. That's what we're getting.
Right, lovely. OK, it's 29 minutes past 6 and it's time for the Daily Reflection.
The GB News Advent Calendar, Day 14.
Hello, my name is Johnny Dade and I'm a vicar in the Church of England. One of my favourite Christmas films is Miracle on 34th Street. I know there are two. In the story, Kris Kringle, this ordinary old man, turns out to be the real Santa Claus. Except that most people don't believe him, they're sceptical. He just doesn't seem to fit their idea of what Father Christmas ought to be like. Today is the Sunday in Advent when Christians think about the character of John the Baptist, the cousin of Jesus who came to prepare the way. But even John had his doubts. On one occasion, he sends his disciples to Jesus to say, "Are you the Messiah that we've been waiting for, or should we look for someone else?" John had his doubts because Jesus didn't seem to conform to the populace understanding of what a Messiah ought to be like. The unexpected story of Jesus continues to this day, confounding our expectations. But I wonder this Advent, are we prepared to take a deeper look, to discover or rediscover the surprising Saviour behind the season?
They just make you feel Christmassy, I think.
Do they?
Yes, I think so.
I do like a bit of Advent, actually, to be fair.
Good, so you should.
Yeah. Nice to count down, isn't it? Towards the big day. Not long to go, Stephen.
No, it's not long to go.
Are you organised? Ready to go?
Yes, all sorted.
Oh, really?
Ready to press the starting button.
Love that.
So, there you go.
Very exciting.
Anyway, look, still to come, someone else who is ready to go is Aidan McGee. He's got all your sport in just a moment.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I think a lot of you at home are going to be quite annoyed with this. Now, Tesco, the big supermarket chain, appears to have got rid of the famous Christmas trees, instead renaming them evergreen
trees.
Evergreen
There's
trees.
the evergreen tree.
Here we are. So if you're listening on the radio, these are pictures of their boxes of artificial Christmas trees without the word Christmas on them at all, instead calling them evergreen trees. There are still a number of Christmas trees available called Christmas trees.
Christmas trees,
but I think it has clearly annoyed quite a lot of people. Why do you call them evergreen trees? Can't you just call them Christmas?
Just call them Christmas trees. I call them Christmas trees even outside of the time of Christmas. If they look like a Christmas tree, I call them a Christmas tree, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And the Conservative leader of the London Assembly, Susan Hall, she's told The Telegraph, it's Christmas. It's a Christmas tree. People don't tend to put up green plastic fir trees for any other reason. It's all stupid nonsense about offending other people and other religions. Well, below that, this is supposed to be a Christian country. We have Christmas. Let's celebrate it, says Susan Hall.
Actually, other religions are not offended by the celebration of Christmas in a Christian country. You speak to Hindus and Buddhists and the vast majority of Muslims, they're not in the slightest bit bothered and actually will join in those celebrations as well. It doesn't offend them. But what you've got are marketing divisions within these big companies where you've got Tarquin and Tabitha who feel that we must, you know, do what we can do to not offend the great British public. And the great British public are the ones that are actually buying the product and they're not in the slightest bit offended.
Can I just say it offends me that we've got Christmas already and it's not December.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Time to go through all the latest sports news now. So, broadcaster Aidan McGee is joining us in the studio. Aidan, lots going on in the Premier League. Should we start with the Arsenal-Wolves game yesterday?
Yes, I was there, and you know what? Arsenal were not convincing at all.
No.
Go on.
Who were you with?
I was with, well, Frank Warren invited me, my good friend. John Burko was there. He lost his shoe while he was celebrating.
Come on.
Chrissy Hind.
Chrissy Hind.
Chrissy Hind.
And what did she tell you? She said, well, no, I'll tell you later on. I'm going to save it because I'm going to use my picture. Oh, right, OK.
Use my picture, is that right?
Yeah, all right.
So stay tuned, is what Aidan means.
Needless to say, she's watching. Let me promise you that. So,
we love Chrissy
Morning.
Hind.
Yeah, I know we do. I know. Let's give her now. Give me about half an hour.
Oh, he's a tease.
Give me half an hour and you'll see a wonderful image, just to prove it's all true.
So,
meantime,
not the best from Arsenal.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
Oh, no, it's not my thunder, it's yours.
True.
I'm just overwhelmed.
Well, Arsenal could have done with the Thunder last night, that's for sure, because they took the lead, but Wolves pegged them back. Don't forget, this is a Wolves side. They played 15 games before yesterday. It's now 16. They've taken 2 points out of a possible 45. I had to do my maths there. They've been atrocious all season, but they really gave it a go yesterday. The keeper was pretty good. They had 2 pretty good chances in the first half. They finally got the equaliser, but Arsenal had to rely on 2 own goals to get the job done. And you know what? That will send warnings out to other clubs, or encouragement, but they'll say this Arsenal side is not infallible. They'll think that the schedule has clearly caught up with them. The squad isn't paying off as much as it should. Look, some would say that the key to being champions is winning when you're not playing well. Yes, OK, that applied to Arsenal last night. But I'll tell you what...
Not last week, though.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. They had Chelsea, they had Aston Villa, didn't they? But the schedule is catching up with them. But nonetheless, they did get the job done. But opportunity knocks today for Manchester City and Aston Villa. They're both in London. Manchester City are down at Crystal Palace. Aston Villa are at West Ham.
Right.
And Mo Salah?
Yeah, let's talk Mo Salah.
Well, we can hear from Arne Slot in a minute. But, yeah, look, he came on as a 20... He was named as a sub.
Yeah.
The reports were that he turned up at the match yesterday against Brighton looking as glum as you can possibly imagine. I'm not sure anyone's apologised here. I think they basically got into a room and said, look, let's show a unified force, a unified front, rather. And he was named on the bench. Now, unexpectedly, he got on in the 26th minute, which is earlier than expected because... the defender, Joe Gomez, was injured. He got on and he set up a goal and they won 2-0. The point situation means they're not too far off mounting a title challenge. But here's what Arne Slot said yesterday. He says they may not have seen the last of Mo Salah.
No, for me, there's no issue to resolve. For me, he's now the same as any other player. You talk to your players if if you're happy or unhappy with things, but there's nothing for me to talk about after what happened against Leeds after the game.
So that's Arne Slot there talking about Mo Salah. Don't forget he travels away now to AFCON to take part in the Africa Cup of Nations with Egypt, of course, which he's hoping to win for a first time. After that, you know what? I think from Liverpool's point of view, privately, I think they probably have to sell him because he's on an absolute fortune. He's on £25 million. His level, and their commitment is to the team, Stephen. They have to work out, is he doing a good job for the team? Never mind what he's done in the past. It's about, with football clubs, it's always about in the now and in the future. I think their best option is to sell him. I think he wants to go. January's a difficult market, but if Saudi come up with the money, I think off he'll trot.
Yeah, I think they would do. Just before we let you go, can we have a look at Fury versus Joshua?
Well, as you know, I was with Frank Warren last night,
Yeah.
and I said, "Is it happening, Frank? Fury versus Joshua next summer?" And he said, "If Ring Magazine say it's happening, it's happening." So I think we can take it as read that next summer we will see Fury versus Joshua.
That'll be something.
It will. I mean, look, I think we're going to see two fighters past their peak. We would like to have seen this. Wouldn't we, probably 3 or 4 years ago, I would imagine. But
bit of a legends match.
Yeah, it is now. It's not. There's not going to be a belt on the line, which there would have been a few years ago. There could have been multiple belts on the line at one stage. But it's a little bit like Maypac. We saw it, Manny Pacquiao against Floyd Mayweather. We saw it probably about 5 years too late. Kell Brook against Amir Khan. We probably saw that 10 years too late. Sometimes the fights don't get made for political reasons. But with Saudi coming in and with the Riyadh season, the money's on the table, money talks, and I think we're going to see it next summer.
Yeah, lovely.
More later. Big surprise for you later.
Ooh, hoo,
Thank you
hoo.
very much indeed.
Well, it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and we want to say a huge congratulations to David from Berkshire, who won his entire Christmas on us this year. Here's the moment that we called him with the good news.
David, I've got some really good news for you.
OK.
You've won Christmas. It's £40,000.
Oh, wow.
£1,000 of vouchers.
Wow.
And a GB News goodie bag.
Wow.
Congratulations. What are you going to spend the money on?
Oh, just living expenses, I think, for now. And then probably something nice in the new year.
You're going to have a very nice Christmas.
Well, thank you.
Well, congratulations, David. You're bound to have a very merry Christmas with all that cash. So if you're a bit jealous of David there with his £40,000, well, yeah, I certainly am. How about £85,000, which is our biggest cash prize to date? That could be yours in the new year. Here's how.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays. Yes to treats. Yes to shopping trips. Yes to home improvements. What would you say yes to? For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, still to come, are we in for a muddy Christmas? We'll discuss that and more in the papers with Charlie and Emma.
First, so, if you want to see what the weather's like outside of the UK, here's the European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. We will see some sunshine across eastern parts of Italy into Greece through the next 24 hours, but very unsettled across the western parts of the Mediterranean. Storm Amelia bringing outbreaks of rain across Madeira into parts of Spain and Portugal. Some heavy rain, strong winds too, but drier interlude into parts of Italy and Greece, but temperatures around 15, 16 Celsius. A few showers towards Turkey as well. Over the next few days, it remains unsettled, particularly across the west, sunnier in the east.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Dixon Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, it's 6:45 and we're going through the papers with former political advisor, Mr. Charlie Rowley, and political commentator and author and anything else you can think of, Ms. Emma Wolfe. She does everything, our Emma. Morning, you two.
Morning, morning.
You were at the party, were you?
Oh, I was. Oh, I've been spotted.
We're divided on this desk today.
Was it? Are you feeling a bit on the rough side?
No. I'm elevated. I'm energetic. I'm.
Yes.
On the back of the party, it was a very good party. It was,
good.
There's been a lot to celebrate on this channel.
Well, that's very true.
Absolutely.
Do you know it's 4.5 years to the day where this channel launched?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, I was. It slipped my mind. But
okay. we have it tattooed on our wrist. It's part of the contract.
There's a big countdown clock just above us here, actually, that tells us every day how many days it's been.
Emma, let's start. Can we start with the Mail on Sunday? This new coup against the Prime Minister.
Well, honestly, another day, another alleged coup from Andy Burnham. Now, if I had a pound coin, or even 50 pence for every time the King of the North has threatened the leadership bid, I would be a very wealthy woman. Is it going to happen? Is it not? There used to be a saying, do you remember, about crying wolf, which I quite liked? You know, if you cry wolf, no one's going to believe you when you do it 33 times. So I'm just wondering, how many times is he going to threaten or have these rumours... And Charlie knows how it works, but rumours are out there, aren't there, about Andy Burnham?
Absolutely.
You know, either front up or kind of don't.
Totally. He is on manoeuvres, there's no doubt about it. But he is in such a difficult position because he wants to... He's exactly that. He's the King of the North, and therefore he can't abandon his kingdom, his fiefdom, of being the King of the North, particularly in the North West. And do a chicken run down south, for example. So if an MP were to resign, he can't just suddenly become the MP for, Winchester or somewhere in Kent, because he's got no connection there. And the Labour Party, and I think Labour members would think that is just pure opportunism. So it needs to be somewhere. If anybody's going to stand down, there were rumours that Andy Slaughter, another MP in the North West, was going to make way.
I was reading Andrew Gwynn.
And Andrew Gwynn.
Andrew Gwynn,
sorry.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon. But, has that happened? Not yet. So there's no vacancy for Andy to become an MP at the minute. And if you're not a Labour MP under the Labour Party rules, you can't become the leader.
But no, but he is eyeing up a by-election. There are potential, as you say, Andrew Gwynn, there are potential seats. I think Clive Lewis even offered him his seat, to resign.
Totally. But Norwich, I mean... no connection there at all.
Can I just say about this location thing, and you probably know more about this, this King of the North thing, I've got friends up north who say he's not the king. I mean, people, softies like me down south think, oh, he's so powerful up north. He's actually not up north. He's not beloved. He's not seen as the King of the North.
In Greater Manchester, I wouldn't say he's beloved. I don't think any politician is beloved particularly, but King of the North is perhaps, obviously there's the Metro Mayor in Liverpool, for example. There's over in Yorkshire, they've got their own kind of devolved part of the country. So I don't think I would say he's the King of the North, as it were. But I will say, I've worked with Andy Burnham for a lot of years now, and he has made positive change in Greater Manchester. Of course, no one's ever perfect. But I mean, the last time I worked with him, I asked, what's all this? And he said, no, not yet. But then I'm reading last week, he's saying, if the call came, I wouldn't say no. And you're like,
but they always say that. They want to leave all their options.
To me, that in politics is yes.
It's bad news for the PM, either which way, because with these sort of manoeuvres, Wes Streeting is clearly doing some sort of manoeuvring.
Of
and
course
there'll be others, and Angela
Rayner, exactly. Names are swirling around. It only serves to highlight how weak Starmer's position is, and we can look at the polls and you see his popularity ratings, So, and let's see what happens in May, because that's going to be... He's getting ready, isn't he? He's getting ready to be ready when they do disastrously in May.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing, just very briefly on that, is it doesn't feel coordinated, though. So he hasn't got a huge mass of people that are going to be out there across all the broadsheets, across all the broadcasts supporting Andy Burnham, because Deputy Leader Lucy Powell, who was sacked by Keir Starmer, so she's not in the Cabinet, who would have been an ally of Andy Burnham, has come out only yesterday to say, we must get behind the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, otherwise we're divided. So a natural ally, you would have thought, of Andy Burnham's, is now backing the Prime Minister. So he hasn't got... a real slick Rolls-Royce machine behind him, but that doesn't take away the fact that he is... Exactly.
The funniest thing is when they start offering jobs, offering jobs, and you kind of think, like Angela Rayner, apparently, allegedly offering cabinet roles to allies, and you think, well, you're not even... You're not even... You don't even have a position at the moment.
No, but honestly, they do it. It's hilarious. Sunday Telegraph, Charlie. Apparently, half of NHS surgeons are only actually operating once a week.
Yes, and that will be a shock to many, many people.
That's ridiculous.
Really shocking.
It is. And this is on the back of a health service that is currently seeing, as we keep being told, a severe spate of flu. So NHS services under pressure, on the back of the BMA calling for another strike, on the back of the monthly strikes that they've had throughout the year, and that they've pledged to go into one a month next year. So the health, and that's on the back of having a pay rise at the last budget. So the NHS is in a very, very tricky situation. The surgeons themselves are only unable to operate, they say, because there aren't enough beds, which I believe. I mean, there's no reason to dispute. It's not the fact that they're just turning up and saying, well, we're not going to perform an operation today. They don't have the beds, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the space, because there is such a bottleneck within the NHS. So people turning up to A&E, perhaps that might not need to be an A&E, perhaps because they can't get a GP appointment, or perhaps because they haven't been able to get their surgery previously minor that's now become major. It is just a backlog that's, a domino effect that's pushed people right to the back of the queue. So lots of worries in the NHS, but it would be alarming to people if you're going into surgery, if you've got a surgery appointment for whatever reason, to hear that actually your operator is only performing one operation a week.
This is really shocking, though. This is really shocking. We have operating theatres, we have this expensive equipment, one a week. Surgeons should be, I mean, what are they doing? Of course there's planning for every operation, there's meeting patients, there's all that other stuff. But a surgeon, in any other country, surgeons are getting through the list, they're getting through the operations. And we all know if you have an elderly relative and their elbow or their hip or their knee replacement is delayed, it'll then be months.
Yeah.
You know, that is surgery. Someone needs that, they need that to go in. That's where it happens. The delay and the delay and the delay and the waste of resources that is going on. It says the NHS grinding to a halt. Surgeons unable to step into an operating theatre. And that is their role. That is what they are trained for. That is what we have theatres ready.
We're just down to 1 minute. Can we just have a look at school breakfast in the Mail on Sunday? Because Jamie Oliver, who obviously can't make a bacon sandwich without adding butter and cream to it, it would seem, is complaining that school breakfasts aren't healthy enough.
No. So, you know, we've had a lot of talk recently about about breakfast clubs, free breakfast clubs and all of that. And now Jamie Oliver is saying that breakfast, there are no standards for the meals. We provide some breakfast, but I can guarantee you 9 out of 10 of them will be unhealthy. Are kids being fed well when they go in? Are they... I mean, my little one, if he ever goes to breakfast club, they don't eat anything, they just play around. Or there's like a bowl of cornflakes in the corner that no one actually focuses. It's not really about the food, it's about extra childcare.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jamie Oliver is saying that those, I don't know, what does he want, turkey twizzlers and, you know, all that kind of thing?
I think that's the antithesis of what he would want, to be honest.
The budgets are very, very low, and it's difficult to feed children healthily, you know, when you're under such pressure for the schools.
Yeah. All right, you two, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on.
We will indeed. Greg Dewhurst now has your weather. We'll be back in the next hour.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather. It's a wet start this morning across the north and the west as heavy rain continues to move in from the Atlantic. A drier but chilly start across southeast England. And looking at the picture for the morning, we've got outbreaks of heavy rain across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England into Scotland. The rain driving in through the day with some strong winds. The rain turning particularly heavy over southwest Scotland, northwest England over the next 24 hours or so. Met Office amber warning in force for the rain here. Some localised flooding is likely. So do stay tuned to the forecast and updates over the coming days. Some dry weather across central southern parts through the day, but generally cloudier overall compared to yesterday. But it is the focus of the rain through the day into the evening time across the north of the UK. So looking at the details across Scotland, a wet end to Sunday. That rain's just going to be there all day. Same picture for Northern Ireland and also Northern England. Yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force, where rainfall warnings also coming into force later across parts of Wales as the rain slips a little further southeastwards, but generally staying dry across southeast England, but on the cloudy side. As we head overnight, the band of rain just pushes a little further southeastwards. The rain really building over parts of Cumbria, for example, flooding expected here, and the rain also becoming heavy across Wales during the early hours. Drier, though, for Northern Ireland and Scotland, and turning cooler here. Temperatures in single figures overnight and single figures towards the southeast, where it does remain dry. For Monday, rain stretches from southwest England into Wales, the West Midlands, northern England through the day. It remains here for much of the day. Some tricky travelling conditions are likely. Either side of this band of rain, it's drier, a little brighter. A respite in the weather for Northern Ireland and Scotland. Here, temperatures a little cooler than recent days, but towards the southeast, still reaching around 12 Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Good morning. The Home Secretary says the human rights of foreign sex offenders have been prioritised over the safety of British women and girls.
Her comments come as she sets out new measures aimed at making it easier to deport criminals who abuse women.
Well, under the proposed changes, the government has pledged to strip foreign sex offenders of refugee protections and simplify deportation laws.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer's smash the gangs policy has suffered a major setback, with the number of migrants crossing this year now surpassing 40,000.
A manhunt is underway after a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island left 2 dead and 9 injured.
President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff will meet Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders in Berlin amid growing hopes for a peace deal in Ukraine.
Kemi Badenoch says the Conservatives will scrap the 2030 ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars if she wins the election.
The Duchess of Sussex reportedly has no plans to see her estranged father again and has given up hope of ever reconciling with him.
And Jimmy Carr blasts the Chancellor's budget. We're asking today, is he right to say we should tax the old, not the rich?
Farewell, but for how long? Mo Salah played his part in a much-needed win for Liverpool over Brighton at Anfield, and boss Arne Slot is confident the Egyptian will play for the club again. And at the Ali Pali, we'll hear about the oldest ever winner at the PDC World Darts Championship at the age of 71.
Met Office yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force across parts of the country today. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
Just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Sophie Reaper. This is your GB News Breakfast.
There's a great story in the Sunday Mirror this morning about a book from a library book. You know, it's a nightmare when you over keep your library books. Anyway, this one's been kept for 45 years.
Ooh.
and it's music notation by Gardner Reed. Anyway, it was handed back at Penzance Library. It was due back March 25th, 1980, and it's just gone back. But anyway, they've said, it's fine, don't worry about it. If you've got overdue books, don't be worried, there won't be any fines or any fuss.
Where is that? Penzance?
Penzance. They're just glad to have it back.
That depends on your council, though, doesn't it? Some councils, I'm sure, would be, at 45 years, they'd be saying, oh, that's 12 grand.
Yeah. Can you imagine keeping a book for that long? At least they've returned it.
Yeah, it's good, yeah. It could be
They're probably just having a declutter.
Yeah.
After, moving house or whatever, and they went, oh, there's that book, remember that?
Yeah, it was quite nice, though, that they've taken it back and not just chucked it in the bin.
I know.
Yeah, good on them.
So do you want to see my
respectful.
picture?
Oh, have you got it now?
I've got it.
Oh, go on then.
So this is Chrissie Hynde from The Pretenders, who I met last night at Arsenal. There she is, in the middle there, with her Arsenal scarf on. That's Frank Warren on the right, the boxing promoter, and myself on the left. And guess what her favourite news channel is?
Go on.
GB News. She told me.
Can't
She told me
blame her.
last night. She said, who do you work for? And I said, GB News. She said, I love GB News. That's a really bad impression. But brilliant songs. What about catalogue? I'll Stand By You, Brass in Pocket, Don't Get Me Wrong, I Go to Sleep, 2,000 Miles. Goodness
Well, she's
me.
just got one of those voices that you instantly recognise.
I know. She walked in last night. I couldn't believe it.
No.
Couldn't believe it. Sat next to me as well. Well, next but one.
Well, you want to see.
I shuffled up.
I bet you did.
I did. Incredible. But lovely night last night, Chrissie. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Oh, you
schmoozer. Schmoozer, you, Aidan. Dearie me.
Isn't he terrible? Wouldn't we have to keep
She's watching. She's watching this morning.
Is she?
She said she would be watching this morning, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Did you ask her for that picture, or did she ask you?
Well,
I can imagine
it was
this.
It was Frank's idea.
Oh, OK.
Let's get you two together.
Oh, very nice.
It's great. Looks great. What a fantastic
What a legend, eh?
performer. Well, yeah. And she likes us, so all the more.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant stuff. Right, now let's kick off with the Home Secretary, should we, who says the human rights of foreign sex offenders have previously been prioritised over the safety of British girls.
Yes, her comments come as Shabana Mahmood pledged to set up specialist teams to investigate rape and serious sexual offences in every police force across the country.
Well, it's part of what the government's branding the largest crackdown on violence against women and girls in British history.
Well, Labour also plans to limit how asylum seekers can use human rights laws, making it easier to deport foreign sex offenders.
Let's talk to the political editor at Times Radio, Anna Mihailova. Is this a win for Labour in that they look like they're taking some pretty strong action, or even with this, do they still look like they're trailing behind what the Conservatives and what Reform say they will do?
Well, I think it's important to point out the significance of this is because Shabana Mahmood is the current Home Secretary. It is very easy for politicians to say things in opposition and very different to enact them when actually in government. And nowhere is that clearer than with the Conservative Party, which was obviously in government, oversaw a huge increase in migrant numbers, both legal and illegal, and now are saying many things, but, many people in the public will look at that and say, well, what did you do about it? So Shabana Mahmood, by saying all this, is showing a real change in direction, even within Labour, even within the previous rhetoric from Yvette Cooper. She's come in, she has said repeatedly and made clear, both in public and to her civil servants, that she will do whatever it takes to crack down on both illegal migration and foreign offenders. And this interview, I mean, it is extraordinary if we just take a step back to see her effectively admit something that, even a couple of years ago, if someone said this, they would have been pilloried and for being, unfair I think the reason it's welcome and the reason it's refreshing is because for a long time politicians have almost pretended this hasn't been a problem or this hasn't been as explicit as she states. I mean, she's literally saying that the human rights of foreign offenders have been prioritised over women and girls in Britain. So that's very, very significant. But the test will be whether or not the measures she's taking are going to work. And she does not operate in a vacuum. So even her big allies and people who really, really rate her, they will admit that she also is dealing with, she's got a Justice Department she has to square off. She has an Attorney General who is seen as very pro-human rights. I mean, he is a human rights lawyer by background and a very senior one. She's got a former human rights prime minister. So none of this, and that's just taking apart the fact that within the Home Office, it's just a hugely cumbersome department with many, many things able to go wrong. So I think her comments today are certainly refreshing, and it shows she's taking it very, very seriously. But the question is, will that actually translate into change?
Now, we talk about potential wins for the Labour government, and you mentioned there, Anna, about migration. Of course, we've been hearing over the past couple of days that it was 28 days, wasn't it, that we saw no boat crossings whatsoever. And that looks like it was starting to become a potential win for the Labour government. But, of course, we broke the news here on GB News last night that the number of small boat migrant crossings has now surpassed 40,000 this year, which is a huge, huge setback, isn't it? And it's another one of those potential wins which has just not really come to fruition, has it?
Well, I think, obviously the longer term trend is what's important, but usually when people look at illegal migrant numbers, they look at the year as a whole. You can argue on whether or not that's fair, but the reason that's done is because weather plays an important part and seasonality plays an important part. So it's important to compare summer with summer, winter with winter. And certainly there were people in government who were very encouraged by this 28-day trend. But in the same way that you cannot say from that, well, small boat crossings have finished, you also can't look at that and say, well, it's been a complete failure. I think you can't look at this calendar year. This is the important point. You can't look at this calendar year and say it's been a success, because it's, the numbers are growing and they are far too big. And anyone will admit that who looks at this and is trying to work on it as well. So the test will be from January onwards. The test will be next year, will Labour's measures start to actually show some success?
OK, Anna, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate your time. Well, on that very story, let's talk to international security and border control expert Henry Bolton, who joins us now. I mean, you can't help but look at all of this and say, despite what we were told, about, Rwanda was the wrong idea, you've got to smash the gangs, we can solve this issue, and the problem has quite simply just got worse. There's no other way to look at this, is there?
No, the problem has got worse, and it's necessary to look at what we're being told about the reduction. Yes, it is true that since the first week, at the end of the first week of November, and now pretty much the number, there have been no crossings until yesterday. However, when we are told that that's not because of the weather, that is utterly and completely not the case. I live on the south coast, but there has not been one day in that period of time that has not been what's called sea state 2, which is slight. That doesn't mean very much, but that is wave height. There has not been one day when the wave height has been less than 0.4 of a metre. Now, that's relevant because the boats do not cross if it's more than 1.5 feet, because they will get swamped. So you've got very cold water. You stand in the water as it's been. You will start to lose ability to control your muscles in 3 minutes. You can lose consciousness in half an hour. And in a sea state of 2, your boat is almost certainly going to get swamped, and you're going to end up in the water. This isn't risky. This is it's tantamount to suicide. That is why the boats don't cross. And this year we have had a particularly consistent period of weather of that nature. That's why we've seen this reduction. Now, so that reduction, compared to last year or the year before, is actually it's not. There haven't been any crossings. There were a small amount on previous years because the sea state was calm. But, and here's the thing, that means that period of time has not contributed, whereas it normally would, to the annual figures. So if we had average weather, in fact, the figures would be even higher for the year. So, you know, and even if that weren't the case, we've still got that top headline figure of plus of 40,000. We have got a serious problem. I have consistently said we will continue to have a serious problem until some government comes along and says we have to stop making the United Kingdom an attractive destination, because until we do, the boats will continue to come. We'll continue to have to house these people, accommodate them, feed them, and that's going to cost the exchequer. So there's just not the political will to lock horns with this in the way that it needs to be dealt with.
Henry, just really quickly, you say it's not going to happen until a government comes along who can do that. I want to ask you, do you think this could, in any circumstance, be the Labour government that we've got right now?
It could be any government. It's you've just got to develop the political will. This government is not going to do that. I mean, technically it could, but politically, I do not believe that it will. I mean, whatever Shabana Mahmood wants to achieve, and I've never met the lady, but she speaks the right sort of language on this subject. The Labour Party intrinsically, it's rather like the Conservative Party has got a sort of centrist wing that's a drag anchor. The Labour Party has got an open borders, progressive wing that doesn't really live in the real world, and as long as that's the case, the Labour Party is not going to be able to do anything practical.
All right, Henry, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. I mean, it is worrying. 700 crossings yesterday, 700 people crossing yesterday. We're going to be talking to our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, in the next couple of hours as well about this, because, as you know, he's absolutely across all the details.
He's brilliant. While we were at the Christmas party last night, I was getting emails on my work phone with breaking lines from Mark White. The man never switches off, and he's brilliant at what he does. Lots of you getting in touch about this, though, this morning. Andrew saying nothing the Home Secretary says will happen, will change anything. Just look at the demographics of the Home Office and the politics within it. Lots of you getting in touch, as I say. Greg, I truly believe that Shabana Mahmood would go a lot further and want to leave the ECHR, but he's being held back by Starmer. Joe says, so far, it's all just been talk and loose promises. Labour are out of time for results. So keep your views coming in on that topic and all the topics we're covering this morning.
Right, let's have a look at your weather at 7:15. Here's Greg Dewhurst.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather. It's a wet start this morning across the north and the west as heavy rain continues to move in from the Atlantic. A drier but chilly start across southeast England. And looking at the picture for the morning, we've got outbreaks of heavy rain across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England into Scotland. The rain driving in through the day with some strong winds. The rain turning particularly heavy over southwest Scotland, northwest England over the next 24 hours or so. Met Office amber warning in force for the rain here. Some localised flooding is likely. So do stay tuned to the forecast and updates over the coming days. Some dry weather across central southern parts through the day, but generally cloudier overall compared to yesterday. But it is the focus of the rain through the day into the evening time across the north of the UK. So looking at the details across Scotland, a wet end to Sunday. That rain's just going to be there all day. Same picture for Northern Ireland and also northern England. Yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force, where rainfall warnings also coming into force later across parts of Wales as the rain slips a little further southeastwards, but generally staying dry across southeast England, but on the cloudy side. As we head overnight, the band of rain just pushes a little further southeastwards. The rain really building over parts of Cumbria, for example, flooding expected here, and the rain also becoming heavy across Wales during the early hours. Drier, though, for Northern Ireland and Scotland, and turning cooler here. Temperatures in single figures overnight and single figures towards the southeast, where it does remain dry. For Monday, rain stretches from southwest England into Wales, the West Midlands, northern England through the day. It remains here for much of the day. Some tricky travelling conditions are likely. Either side of this band of rain, it's drier, a little brighter. A respite in the weather for Northern Ireland and Scotland. Here, temperatures a little cooler than recent days, but towards the southeast, still reaching around 12 Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, still to come, the Duchess of Sussex reportedly has no plans to see her estranged father ever again and has given up hope of ever reconciling with him. We'll tell you more all about that next. This is GB News Breakfast.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Tell you what, we've got a story about potholes now that is just, ridiculous. Fed up residents in a quiet cul-de-sac in Banbury in Oxfordshire say they've been abandoned after being told that it could take 103 years to have their pothole-riddled road resurfaced. 103 years.
Could not believe it. Absolutely farcical. Anyway, the locals on Horsham Close say some of the potholes are like craters, adding it's yet another sign of Britain's crumbling infrastructure.
Yeah, we're going to speak now to pothole campaigner Mark Morrell, often known as just Mr. Pothole. I say just Mr. Pothole. My goodness.
Yeah, it's terrible. They've used the figure from the alarm survey. That's a survey, a report that shows just how bad our roads are, and used an average figure. How naive or stupid, really, to actually put a figure in there rather than say it'd be done as and when. I know the particular road. Because the main road, Sussex Drive, that it comes off of, I campaigned some years ago, got it resurfaced. Last year, I actually used some AI as a free app called Stan the App and drove around the 34 miles of Banbury on the main routes and identified 1,500 severe defects on their main routes. So the side roads, a number of those cul-de-sacs are well outside their life. If you look at the average road, it lasts about 20 to 25 years. And in the same report, in 15 years' time, 52% of all the country's roads will be structurally unsound, and therefore we've got a major problem coming up. And it just reflects the attitude, really, from politicians and authorities that we have to accept to manage decline.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Now at 7:20, the Duchess of Sussex is understood to have no plans to see her father again, despite apparently reaching out to him while he was recovering in hospital.
According to the Sunday Times, Meghan has avoided calling him, fearing their conversation could be overheard.
Let's talk to former Royal Butler Grant Harold. Morning to you, Grant. Is this any surprise, really? We know their relationship has been exceptionally difficult, but we don't know quite what's gone on behind the scenes. We're not right to make any judgment calls on this, are we?
Good morning to you both. It's a bit odd because obviously, and tell me if I'm wrong, I thought the reports were that she had reached out to him, and now we're hearing, or what we're reading is that not only has she not reached out to him, but she has deleted his number and has got no intention of contacting him. So I don't quite understand why her team are saying one thing and then saying another. If she doesn't want to have any contact with her father, which I think it's sad if, when it comes to parents and children having fallouts. But if she doesn't want to, then that's obviously her decision. But it's a bit awkward when her team obviously saying one thing and then the next minute they're doing another thing, because then people are going to start questioning, is somebody lying? This is what starts coming into question.
Is it any of our business, though, Gran? We talked about this last week when the story first broke, and I just think, is it any of our business, whether it be Meghan Markle, whether it be anyone? Surely it's for her to decide.
I have to kind of agree with you on that, because technically, as they're no longer members of the working royal family, they do their own thing. So as you quite rightly said, it is actually her private business. She didn't really need to tell anyone about this, if she doesn't want to. Which is interesting, as I said again, that her team did mention that they had tried to reach out after her father said they hadn't. I think it's also difficult for her because even if she wants to keep it private, the fact that her father obviously, I think he had a journalist with him in the room, and obviously is keen to kind of get his kind of story out there. I think it's really difficult for them to keep it private. But the best thing for her to do would be to say nothing and just not get involved in this kind of thing, which is, can I say, what the royal family normally do when it comes to something like this.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's not a lot of people who will be watching, really, who are, huge fans of Meghan for whatever reason. I think a lot of us share that position. However, what is she meant to do? If he is in his hospital bed and he's not been at all well and all the rest of it, but he's got a journalist sat next to him, I mean, you are going to be cautious. You're not going to know what on earth he's going to do.
No, exactly. And I think that's the worrying bit, is you are going to kind of worry about it. And even if, say she wanted to go and be with him, well, how can you go and be with him and have a private time with him when there is a journalist there? It's really sad. And I think, again, as I said, with parents and children, when you have fallouts or things that's going to happen, it's sad because it shouldn't be like this, really.
No.
Not at all. Grandma, we've got you. Shall we quickly talk about Andrew not facing police action over this bodyguard claim? What's going on here?
Well, see, it's an interesting one because obviously apparently it was said that the bodyguard had been asked Andrew to do, wanted to dig dirt on Virginia Gruff, apparently, and obviously there was an investigation with the Met Police into this because obviously the bodyguard is with the Met Police. Now, when I worked for the Royal Household, I had a great relationship, if I can say, with the bodyguards, the private detectives and the Met Police. They do work closely together. They do have private conversations because, to be quite frank, the bodyguard, the protection officer and, for example, a member of the royal family, they spend a lot of time with them. They travel with them, they get to know them really well. They have to get to know them well because they're there to protect them. So they do have private conversations. But what those conversations are, even I would have no idea because they would never come. We used to eat together and they wouldn't come and say, oh, today we were discussing this or that. So it's difficult to say what conversations took place. It's not out of the realms of impossibility, but those conversations are private. And if he had said something like that, then of course the Met Police would do an investigation. But it's very tricky for the Met Police because how do you, with the greatest respect, how do you prove that conversation took place if, let's just say it did, and that bodyguard doesn't want to discuss it for whatever reason? What I'm trying to say, there wouldn't be any kind of witnesses. So it's a very difficult one, which is why I believe that therefore they didn't come up with any conclusion. And I think Virginia's family obviously upset that they didn't actually contact, am I right in saying that her family, to discuss it as well, from what I've read?
All right, Grant, appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The Meghan thing.
Oh yeah.
I just think
it doesn't matter what you think of her, right?
No,
it doesn't matter.
It's her business.
That is their business. There are loads of people. There'll be people watching and listening right now who, for whatever reason, don't have any contact with their parents, and it's your business.
Yeah.
And people can criticise you for it or encourage you, but it's your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hate to say it, the same applies to her. She might be someone who, you find irritating or you don't like what she's done in various things, but actually on this matter, I think we need to keep our noses out, really.
Completely agree. Well, it's time now for the Great British Giveaway and your chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year, an incredible £85,000 that you could win. Here's all the details.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to splash on anything you can dream of. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. £85,000 is the biggest cash prize we've ever given away. It's totally tax-free, which means that every single penny of it will be yours. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Still to come for you this morning, we've got all your sports news with Aidan. That's in a couple of minutes.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Time is 7:31 and it's time to go through all the latest sports. Aidan's back with us.
Good to see you. I just want to shine a light on the darts. It may not be the biggest story of the weekend, but what an extravaganza it is, and what it's.
Right, we love the dark.
Always is at the Ali Pally, isn't it?
You're going next week, aren't you?
Next Saturday, I'll be there. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm hoping to get along myself. Actually, I'm waiting for someone to offer
Aidan,
me.
you'll have to let us know. You can come over to our table.
A corporate do. But last night we had a 71-year-old winner in the first round yesterday. Paul Lim of Singapore, 71, as I said. He beat Jeffrey de Graaf, Dutch-born Swede, and he's become, I think, the previous oldest was 68 back in 2008, so he'd be over 80 now, that gentleman, whoever he was. Luke Humphries got through, but I should say as well, just to put it in some kind of context, Paul Lim actually threw a 9-darter at the BDO World Championships in 1990. He said he made history then because he was the first man to do a 9-darter World Championship.
He's had quite the career then. 1990, did you say?
That was when it was the BDO. So I think that was the year the PDC through Sky broke away, and the BDO was left at the BBC, and the BBC just didn't. I mean, they covered it for years, but they just went through the motions. It was almost, but it was beneath them a little bit, really. There was one stage where they were broadcasting out of hotel rooms. They didn't want to do it at all. But they had Ted Hankey, they had Bobby George, Andy Fordham.
All over my head, these names. I'm
Andy
afraid.
Fordham?
Yeah.
I'm far too young
for
any of this.
I
tell you what, though, I feel a bit sorry for people like Paul. I suppose it's most people in sport, isn't it? Because he's obviously had a long and successful career.
Still winning games.
Never quite successful enough. Never in the very top.
No, but I think if you look at his record over the years, he's probably done some pretty good stuff that we don't know about. I mean, his prize for the next, whether it's good or bad, his prize in the next round is he's going to face Cool Hand Luke, your mate Luke Humphries, the champion 2 years ago.
Tell you what, if it's kept him in, money for the past, at least 35 years doing the thing he loves.
Well, I mean, I bet he wishes the prize fund was the same as it was this year, all those years ago.
Right.
£1 million for the winner, I think 400 grand for the runner-up. Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's still
not bad,
money.
is it?
No. I mean, in theory, you could get to the final, go up against Luke Littler. This is the effect that these guys have. When you have one outstanding player that everyone wants to see, the rest get rich off his back, off the back of him. And it was the same with Tiger Woods in golf.
Yeah.
There were players around him who said, "We're getting rich off the back of this guy who keeps beating us." Astonishing, really.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Talk about rich people. Mo Salah.
That was a great
It
segue.
was indeed. Yeah, Mo Salah came on yesterday for Liverpool, 26th minute. We don't know whether it's going to be the last time we see him in a Liverpool shirt.
I mean, he did a sort of. It seemed like he was doing a big farewell to. All
I don't. I just wonder. He may not know himself. I mean, there's a lot of things could happen or need to happen between now and January for him to get that move to Saudi, if indeed he wants it. I mean, did he engineer the move, or did he try to engineer the move, or was he just generally annoyed because he didn't get off the bench against Leeds? He hadn't been off the bench in 2 of the previous 3 matches. He's well paid, but yes, he can get more elsewhere. But how much money do you need? £25 million in a season? I mean, I could definitely live on that. Definitely.
Is it going to depend maybe about how he gets on in AFCON?
Possibly. Look, that I will say.
He has a blinder.
Well, possibly with AFCON, that's one final frontier that he hasn't really done. He's won near enough everything at club level that he was able to win. He hasn't won the AFCON, and it's a big thing for him in his country. I went to the AFCON in 2008 in Nigeria. It's not until you get there that you realise what it means to the players playing for their countries. Some of them said to me, "We can't afford not to play. If we don't play for our countries at this event, we are going to get all manner of heat from the locals, from all our compatriots." So the players are interesting because they're, English clubs started buying them probably about 20 years ago, and there was always this caveat: you're going to miss them for a month of the season, middle of the season, when you need your players. But they were so good that they took that risk, and they brought pressure to bear as well on the players. They said, do you really need to go to the AFCON? Do you really need to play for your country? Do you really need to go and play for Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria or Ghana? And the answer is yes, they really do. And if they go deep into the tournament, they're losing them for four weeks. I think in Chelsea's case in 2008, certainly the loss of Drogba and Essien in that run-in really did cost them. So, I expect him to, in answer to your question, I think it may depend on how well he does.
Yeah. Can we have a look at Arsenal?
Yes.
Because, I mean, they won, but it was a bit of a battle.
Oh, yeah, it was. I mean, I thought Wolves were quite unlucky not to come away with something, actually. We'll hear from Mikel Arteta in a moment, but, I mean, they did not look convincing at all. Wolves had the better chances in the first half. To put it in some kind of context, they've had 2 points all season. They won 2 points all season from a possible 45 prior to last night. Make that 48 now. And they equalised in the 90th minute. Their fans were absolutely thrilled in the corner. And then another own goal did it for Arsenal. But let's hear.
Both goals were own goals.
They were, they were.
Wolves are their own worst enemy, aren't they, at the minute?
Exactly. Let's have a listen to what Mikel Arteta had to say last night at the Emirates.
Improving the second half in relation to that, I think we did it. We generated more chances to score a goal, but after we had a period of 2-3 minutes in deep, totally passive with horrible defensive habits, that is nowhere near the level that is required against a team that hasn't had a single shot. The first time that they had the opportunity to do it, they scored the goal, and this is the Premier League. And unfortunately, we are relieved because we managed to score a goal at the end and go and win it, but we need to improve in that sense for sure.
So that's the title race kind of wrapped up there with Arteta, but it kind of stretches over into today as well, because both Aston Villa and Manchester City are both near or close challengers to Arsenal. They're in action today. They're both in London. Manchester City down at Crystal Palace. West Ham kicking off against Aston Villa, I think at 2:30 at the London Stadium, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's have a quick word about Ring magazine, should we? Because they are predicting that Fury versus Joshua is going to happen next year.
I spoke to Frank last night, Frank Warren, one of the promoters, and he said that what you read in the Ring magazine is pretty accurate. And he said that it will go ahead. The Riyadh season, it will headline one of the events over there.
That'd be huge. I know it's not a, it's.
Yeah, we're not seeing it when we really wanted to see it.
There's no belts in it.
No.
But it'll be a fantastic.
Who's your money on?
I'm not good with the boxing.
I'm going to go Fury as well. I think Fury is closer to his peak than Joshua is.
Yeah.
But I think even at both their peaks, I think Fury would have won it. He just wasn't early on in his career. He wasn't as marketable as AJ was.
I thought Tyson Fury was meant to have retired. I saw an interview with his wife the other day.
He retires every other week.
Yeah.
That's just.
Actually, I was stupid enough once, some years ago, to ring one of his representatives and say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that Tyson's retired." He just almost put the phone down and said, "Look, take things with a pinch of salt, Aidan. I don't think he's retiring. Too much money to be made, and goodness me, he made a hell of a lot more money after that. And he still lives in Morecambe."
Yeah, I mean, I like Tyson. I don't know what it is about him. There's just something that he's just man of the people sort of thing, and I think there's a lot to be said for that.
It was great when he got knocked down. After having dominated that fight against Deontay Wilder some years ago, I think it's 2018, 2019, he's on the floor, on the deck, 11th round or 12th round, I think it was, and he said he had to get up. He had to get up for all the mental health sufferers out there, because he was suffering himself, and he got up, and I think he broke Deontay Wilder that night, because he thought that if I can hit him that hard and he still not good enough to secure the knockout, what am I going to have to do? And he won. He got a draw that night and won twice after that. Incredible.
Yeah. All right, Aidan, thank you very much indeed. See you later.
Well, still to come, a hangover avoidance myth has been debunked. We'll tell you what it is in just a moment in the papers with Emma Wolf and Charlie Rowley. First, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there. We will see some sunshine across eastern parts of Italy into Greece through the next 24 hours, but very unsettled across the western parts of the Mediterranean. Storm Amelia bringing outbreaks of rain across Madeira into parts of Spain and Portugal. Some heavy rain, strong winds too, but drier interlude into parts of Italy and Greece, but temperatures around 15, 16 Celsius. A few showers towards Turkey as well. Over the next few days, it remains unsettled, particularly across the west, sunnier in the east.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
True Grinch fashion, one neighbour has written a bar humbug letter to a festive father-to-be, outraged by what he calls Dave Goodlin's cheap and tacky Christmas display outside his house.
I mean, there is no such thing as cheap and tacky Christmas display. Christmas is cheap and tacky. Dave accidentally, it happens, come on, brought a 20-foot inflatable Santa, believing it was just 4 foot tall, and inflated it outside his house.
Well, the neighbour's fury and Dave's giant Santa have now gone viral, and he's been left with little choice but to deflate the big man himself.
Or looking at that picture, went and brought a snowman that matched. Any case, we don't know. So joining us now is the man himself, Dave Goodings. Dave, you must be a bit deflated by this story.
Hello, good afternoon, guys. Yes, very deflated because last weekend, the Sunday just gone, we decided to put up our Christmas decorations. You've got the tree behind me, and then outside the front, we've got two giant Christmas inflatables, one being a giant snowman and the other a Father Christmas.
So people have complained. Grinches have complained about this.
It's just the one complaint letter that we've had through the post. So we put them up on the Sunday, on the weekend just gone. And then I got home from work on Monday to an envelope that had been posted through the door. There's, no writing on the envelope, which I thought was a little bit weird. I opened it up and lo and behold, in the envelope was this long letter, all in capital letters. I couldn't believe it, what I was reading. And at first my heart sunk because I'm not the kind of person at all. I hate upsetting anyone. I hate any confrontation, stuff like that. But for me, I was reading it and I was like, oh, have I upset someone? But then after reading it a couple of times, it's so silly. It's a time of year where you can let your hair down, have a little bit of fun at Christmas.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Right, time for the papers at 7:43 with former political advisor Charlie Rowley and political commentator Emma Wolfe. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Emma, what's this in the Sunday Times about the King? Once he's been talking about getting these your cancer checks and things.
Well, I think this is really good news, and it's nice to have some good news from the royal family, who are certainly going through it at the moment, aren't they? So do you remember on, I think it was Friday, the King did this very kind of heartfelt speech and talked very openly about his diagnosis and about the importance of getting your screenings, getting the checks. Following that speech, over 100,000 people, or sort of since early December, over 100,000 people have logged on to this online screening tool, this NHS tool, where you can check what you're eligible for, what you should be getting, mammogram, bowel checks, that kind of thing. There's up to 9 million people in the UK who are overdue for these checks that obviously happen at certain ages and with certain symptoms or whatever. And it's really good that, they were hesitant. Camilla and Charles were hesitant at the beginning about talking about it. The Queen especially, Queen Camilla. So weird calling her the Queen. Apparently Camilla was quite reluctant for Charles to talk about it openly. She thought it would maybe put more pressure on him. But I think it's actually been part of his recovery and his journey as well, is talking about it and being open about it.
Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting he talked about people missing their checks because, we know men are a nightmare with, partly because of misconceptions over prostate checks, but also, I'm sure mammograms aren't very pleasant. I'm sure smear tests aren't very pleasant.
They're not.
But they've got to be done.
They've got to be done. And I love what the King said about, a few moments of discomfort. Obviously being the King, he just sort of said it in that way. A few moments of minor inconvenience are a small price to pay. Well, basically he's saying, it's not particularly pleasant. Smear tests are not fun. I know prostate tests can...
No.
Well, they're much more straightforward now with blood tests and stuff. But I always say to people, are you serious? Are you really going to risk, the risk of cancer because you don't want to have a smear test or whatever it is?
I talked about this earlier this year on GB News. I had to go for a smear test earlier in the year and they found something. I'm 28 years old. It was my second ever smear test and they found something and I got the all clear in January. It was, great news. But I think it's so important and, that's why I was so open about it at the time. It's not pleasant to talk about, it can be a bit uncomfortable, a bit awkward. Certainly going for the test can be a bit uncomfortable and awkward. And lots of my friends, for a long time, they put off going for smear tests. And it is awkward, it is uncomfortable,
It's embarrassing as hell, frankly, but what do you do?
No, hold on a minute. If you talk to doctors... Well, I've been through
the doctors are never embarrassed. They're straight in there.
If you talk to doctors, they say it's nothing.
No.
For us, it's just the body. It takes 2 minutes, they do it. And it's so good to hear from doctors. They don't think doing a bowel check or a smear test is embarrassing. They're not even interested. They're not thinking about it. So just grit your teeth and do it.
But it's also so good to hear from people that have gone through
having a test, like yourself in the story that you just talked about, and obviously the King getting a test to encourage more people
David
to just...
Cameron recently as well, wasn't it?
Well,
he came out and said, and I think that's so important,
The point is, if you pick it up early, it doesn't need to be, you know, a
much worse.
of death. Exactly. And things like cervical smears, things like prostate, if it's picked up early. Same with mammograms.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to something completely different. Charlie, in the Sunday Telegraph, the 2030 ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars will go if Kemi Badenoch is Prime Minister.
Yes, so she says in an op-ed in the Telegraph, which I think will be good news for a lot of people, because EV, electric vehicles, have been a bit of a disaster. Now, even if you want to be environmentally friendly, and I would be if I drove, I would be looking at getting an electric car. There's no doubt about it. But they are clunky.
Clunky?
They are clunky, they are heavy, they are responsible for...
clunky?
Because they are heavy. They're heavy vehicles.
The lithium batteries are very, very heavy, aren't they?
Well, to be fair, neither of you drive.
No, we don't.
Right.
They're wrecking the roads.
Well, we drive a few things around here. I mean, it'd drive you mad.
Yeah, I mean, this idea that they're clunky, that isn't true.
It is. No,
they're heavy. They are heavy.
Car parks are collapsing.
Then the car parks are not collapsing.
I was told NCP car parks are collapsing from the weight.
But they cause more road desurfacing or defacing of the surface, is what I'm trying to say, of the road surface, than normal vehicles. So the amount that we pay in council tax for potholes and all the rest of it, road repairs, your county council tax going to the highways agency to repair for what EVs are doing, electric vehicles, is why it's a bit of a damp squib, I'm afraid.
I think a lot of those claims would be debunked.
What about the batteries? Okay, what about the batteries? What about the batteries?
I mean, I'm not here to defend
manufactured in China. Are they particularly environmentally friendly?
Well, no, probably not. But I mean, I drive a petrol car. But I'm just saying there's been a lot of myths about electric vehicles put out there. I mean, the advantage of them is that you don't have to keep going to the petrol station. They are cheaper.
And you can only drive about
you do have to remember to plug it in.
You have to keep plugging them in.
Well, no, they've got they're now coming with 400 to 500 miles of range on them.
OK, well, that's probably at the top end. 400 to 500 miles.
400 to 500 miles. I mean, so that's...
That's at the top end of what you'll get. Do you remember Anne talking about having to do a journey and having to make sure that she had 100 miles and had to plug it in? And
my dad's the same with his Tesla, to be fair. We're always, if we go down to London, we're often stopping about rugby, just pop it on charge for 20 minutes, whatever.
And are there local charging points? There are none in my street, and I live in the middle of London.
I mean,
we've got to have one put on your own house, haven't you?
Exactly.
There's a whole issue with the charging infrastructure and everything else. There really is. I'll tell you what worries me slightly, because I deal quite a lot with car manufacturers because I'm a bit of a car geek. And the problem is with this, it was 2030, then the Tories put it back to 2035, then it went back to 2030 under Labour. Now the Tories are saying they're scrapping it. This is actually really bad news for the manufacturers who are structuring their business and the business of building cars, which is good for us in the UK if they're doing it here, and it's really messing up their plans because they don't know what they're meant to be building.
Because there's no certainty.
Well, I did disagree with that, but also it doesn't help if you have an EV, that you're going to be taxed per mile. That was announced in the budget. So what is the incentive now to getting an EV, apart from the fact that you're now going to be taxed? It was a bit like when the last Labour wanted to get rid of diesel cars, encourage people to get rid of diesel, and all of a sudden tax petrol to the hill.
But the pay per mile thing is a right pain in the neck. And if I get an electric car, that will really affect me because I do a lot of miles. However, for most people, it'll still be, and I'm not trying to defend it, but to put it into context, for most people, it will still be less than road tax because you don't pay road tax on an electric vehicle. So what you would pay per mile is still less than you would pay in road tax. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's not like it's something on top of road tax.
You know, at the heart of this, though, who's really suffering is the consumer. Because if you're at home and you're thinking, oh, shall I be getting a new car? You don't know. No. There needs to be a decision that is made that sticks so that people now, if they're thinking of getting a new car, if it's the way that they need to get an EV car, they do. And if not, they can, perhaps get one that's cheaper or better for them.
Because if this ban is coming in 2030 and we have a general election in 2029, they need to know what's happening.
100%.
This is it. I don't get it. I mean, I've got to change my car this next year just because it's run out and I've got to change it.
Yeah.
And I do not know if I should get what I should get, because it's then what value is it going to have?
Exactly.
At that point, because you go on these deals, don't you pay so much a month. What value will it have?
Exactly.
Will I have any equity in it when I want to give it back? So I don't know. I don't know what I'm meant to do.
Who does?
Well. And cars, you can't just manufacture them tomorrow. It's not like baking a loaf of bread. There needs to be a long-term strategy. In terms of where your
it's all right for people like you, Charlie, just slagging off EVs, because we've got to. For a lot of us, we're going to have to.
I'm a man of the people. I'm a bus boy. I'll always be on the bus. I am a public transport kind of guy. I really am. I'll get the bus home, which is probably going to be hybrid anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks to Boris Johnson's probably investment when he was in Mayor of London. So I can understand the longevity of the EV conundrum. But.
Faster by bike. That's what me and my little one shout at people at bus stops as we cycle past. We go faster by bike when there are massive queues.
You're bike hooligans.
Yes, road rage.
Hang on a minute, we say it nicely. Faster by bike. We say nicely.
I bet people at a bus stop in the pouring rain, who, their bus has been delayed by 10 minutes. I bet they take that well, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do.
Faster by bike.
I hope when the bus passes you then later on, I hope they moon you out the back.
Often I will be, the same journey. I will overtake cars and be faster because London is gridlocked.
Well, of course, and cyclists don't have to stop at traffic lights.
Oh, for goodness sake, don't start this.
Drives me
I nearly got mown down by one yesterday.
That's like saying because there are bad... I'm not going to win this battle.
No.
But it's like saying because there are bad drivers, you go through red lights.
On your bike.
But you don't.
No. Anyway.
Dear me.
I know.
You can't win. It's like being a vegetarian. It's like being a vegetarian. People don't like you because you make them feel bad. Do you see?
I won't be on a bike anytime soon.
No, me either.
Why? Glorious.
No. Dangerous in London. They do jump red lights.
How long will it take you to get home on a bus?
We have got to leave it there. Thank you.
Quicker than a bike.
Is weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather. It's a wet start this morning across the north and the west as heavy rain continues to move in from the Atlantic. A drier but chilly start across southeast England. And looking at the picture for the morning, we've got outbreaks of heavy rain across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England into Scotland. The rain driving in through the day with some strong winds. The rain turning particularly heavy over southwest Scotland, northwest England over the next 24 hours or so. Met Office amber warning in force for the rain here. Some localised flooding is likely. So do stay tuned to the forecast and updates over the coming days. Some dry weather across central southern parts through the day, but generally cloudier overall compared to yesterday. But it is the focus of the rain through the day into the evening time across the north of the UK. So looking at the details across Scotland, a wet end to Sunday. That rain's just going to be there all day. Same picture for Northern Ireland and also northern England. Yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force, where rainfall warnings also coming into force later across parts of Wales as the rain slips a little further southeastwards, but generally staying dry across southeast England, but on the cloudy side. As we head overnight, the band of rain just pushes a little further southeastwards. The rain really building over parts of Cumbria, for example, flooding expected here, and the rain also becoming heavy across Wales during the early hours. Drier, though, for Northern Ireland and Scotland, and turning cooler here. Temperatures in single figures overnight and single figures towards the southeast, where it does remain dry. For Monday, rain stretches from southwest England into Wales, the West Midlands, northern England through the day. It remains here for much of the day. Some tricky travelling conditions are likely. Either side of this band of rain, it's drier, a little brighter. A respite in the weather for Northern Ireland and Scotland. Here, temperatures a little cooler than recent days, but towards the southeast, still reaching around 12 Celsius.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British Airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Good morning. The Home Secretary says the human rights of foreign sex offenders have been prioritised over the safety of British women and girls.
Yes, her comments come as she sets out new measures aimed at making it easier to deport criminals who abuse women.
Well, under the proposed changes, the government has pledged to strip foreign sex offenders of refugee protections and simplify deportation laws.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer's smash the gangs policy has suffered a major setback, with the number of migrants crossing this year now surpassing 40,000.
Well, after 28 days of no arrivals in the Channel, some within Labour had been suggesting that government policy was beginning to work. But today, the weather's bad, and guess what? No crossings.
A manhunt is underway after a shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island left 2 dead and 9 injured.
President Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff will meet with Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders, including Sir Keir Starmer, in Berlin, amid growing hopes for a peace deal in Ukraine.
Kemi Badenoch says the Conservatives will scrap the 2030 ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars if she wins the next election.
The Duchess of Sussex reportedly has no plans to see her estranged father again and has given up hope of ever reconciling with him.
This will get you going this morning. Jimmy Carr, the comedian, has had a go at the Chancellor's budget, but he's also said that we shouldn't tax the rich, we should tax the old.
Farewell, but for how long? Mo Salah played his part in a much-needed win for Liverpool over Brighton at Anfield. Elsewhere, Arsenal stayed top of the Premier League despite labouring to victory against Wolves, and AJV Fury looks to be on next summer.
Met Office yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force across parts of the country today. Find out all the weather details coming up soon.
Just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Sophie Reaper. This is GB News Breakfast. You know what I find interesting this morning?
Go on.
It's in the Daily Star.
All right.
It's about fat jabs. Now, it used to be that fat jabs, there was a split between men and women. It used to be 90% women compared to 10% of men.
Right.
Well, now the Daily Star is saying it's actually a 60% women, 40% men split.
So men are catching
So
up.
men are getting involved in what they're calling this weight loss revolution.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know about you, Aidan, but you, certainly on Instagram and things, you see lots of these adverts floating up for, like, jabs, and they're aimed specifically at men.
I don't have Insta, so I wouldn't necessarily know, but that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they're trying to push these things out for 150, 200 quid or whatever. They've got to do it somehow, and they're going to play on people's kind of sensibilities, aren't they? They're sort of their little hang-ups or whatever. So why not? The same as any other marketing ploy, rather.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're revealing that every hour the NHS prescribes 280 jabs, weight loss jabs.
Which is interesting, because on the NHS it is very hard to get them.
You've got to pass lots of criteria and tests and whatnot.
I think that will change when the price comes down, though.
It may do. You've got to be sort of morbidly obese and have a BMI over 30 or something.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a condition associated with your increased weight.
Yes.
Well, 1.4 million Brits are believed to have self-funded their weight loss efforts. 1.4 of us are paying for it. I mean, the results I've seen, although actually I did read in the paper the other day that apparently they're working on one where it's 1 jab per month.
Really?
Now, that sounds far more appealing to me. As someone who's frightened of needles...
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
no, we're
not good with needles at all.
No, we're way used to it.
So, although I've gotten better recently, after having the surgery, I had to give myself, or my boyfriend would have to give me an anticoagulant jab every day.
All right.
Which was...
Go on, what's one of those?
Like torture. It's basically to stop your blood
clotting.
clotting, because you're not moving around as much.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was torture. So I couldn't ever imagine, honestly...
Needles are tiny now.
I know, but by the end of it, I could do it myself, it was fine.
You see, there you go.
Yeah. But it's just
Were
the
you
thought.
Do you remember having your first diabetic
Yeah, my
jab?
first injection.
Were you frightened of it?
It was apprehensive, but I remember the nurse...
Microfine needles.
Oh, well, it seemed the needles were bigger back in the day.
Were they?
I had a typhoid jab last week, and that was a big needle.
Yeah.
That was a big old needle.
But I remember the nurse telling me to, because it was a syringe rather than a pen.
Yes.
And they were saying, she said, hold it like a dagger.
Oh, that's really...
I remember that. But I did it, and I think if you're type 1 diabetic, you've got to do your first one yourself.
Yes.
Because once you've done one...
I only ever knew the microfine needles. I just couldn't believe anything that fine could pass insulin. It was astonishing to me.
Yeah. Right, it's a clever what they do. If you've got fear of needles and things, it's really not that bad.
No.
Get used to it. There are worse things to do in life.
Well, definitely.
Anyway, there you go. So fat jabs. So why shouldn't men look good?
No, good. I mean, I think it's absolutely right. There shouldn't be any taboo about men wanting to take control of their appearance. Good for them.
No.
You know?
Believe you me, the older you get, the more you've got to watch it. Isn't that true, Aidan?
Well, I don't know, I'm not quite there yet.
To your age.
Not quite there yet.
Double dig at Aidan there. Weight and age, dear me.
No.
I'll let you know when I get there.
Right.
Should we talk about politics?
We better do,
Let's.
yeah, because the Home Secretary says the human rights of foreign sex offenders, you struggle when you hear this, have been prioritised over the safety of British girls.
Her comments come as Shavana Mahmood pledges to set up specialist teams to investigate rape and serious sexual offences in every police force across the country.
Well, it's part of what the government is branding the largest crackdown on violence against women and girls in British history.
Labour also plans to limit how asylum seekers can use human rights laws, making it easier to deport foreign sex offenders.
Let's talk to political commentator John Oxley. Morning to you, John. I mean, most people will just be astounded. It's quite an admission, isn't it, that actually it is recognisable that the human rights of sex offenders, foreign sex offenders, have been higher than those of the women and girls that they may have abused. It's terrifying.
Yes, and this has long been a source of frustration for governments, but in particular voters, and one of the real flashpoints around the immigration system, that when someone is convicted of serious, very severe wrongdoing, it can be very difficult to remove them from the country, and in doing so, it obviously opens up the risk of greater offending from them the longer they stay here. So I think a lot of people would be very welcome to see this approach, but the question is, can it be made to work?
John, reading statistics about violence against women and girls this morning, and it's saying here 1 in 4 women in England and Wales will experience domestic abuse in their lifetime. Now, obviously, violence against women and girls is a huge, huge issue, and I think that stat just shows it, doesn't it? So, some people might say that, this is a great start, that the Home Sec is making good headway, but a lot of other people are going to say that it doesn't go far enough. When we're reading statistics like that, 1 in 4 women experiencing violence or domestic abuse in their lifetime, it's not going far enough, a lot of people will be saying.
Absolutely, and one of the things that is mixed in here is this is a huge societal issue, and we've seen, in particular, from the reports following the Sarah Everard case, a lot of police forces have been dealing with this very badly. Crimes aren't necessarily being properly recorded, aren't necessarily being properly investigated. So this goes far beyond simply removals. It's about how our institutions engage with this, and ultimately sort of how we as a society engage with this issue, and how it gets driven out at every level.
It just goes to show, though, how this is an issue when it comes to immigration, illegal immigration, foreign offenders, deportations, all the rest of it. And the big problem, the one thing it comes down to, seems to be ECHR. Reform says they'll get rid of it. Tories say they'll get rid of it. Labour have been to a big conference and come back. Yvette Cooper sort of saying, well, yes, we're going to look at reforming elements of it. It's not necessarily going to wash with the public, that, is it?
It depends, what results they get, and other countries in Europe are far more successful at deporting people they want to deport. But also, it should be remembered that when we're looking at this issue, a huge amount of domestic violence happens within the home. It happens across a lot of societies, and this is only one part of trying to drag down those statistics. And in particular, worth remembering that a lot of sexual abuse is familial as well.
Obviously, we're talking this morning as well about the migrant crossings on the Channel. It looked like it was going to be a win for the government, 28 days with none. I was reading on X people saying, oh, they've finally done it, they've stopped the boats. But then, of course, yesterday we saw the news that it's now gone over 40,000. Do you think this will be a big blow for Sir Keir Starmer and his government?
I don't think it will be a huge blow. I think, obviously, the crossing numbers have gone up a bit this year, but ultimately, these things take time to solve. They're very dependent on things like the weather, things like seasonal changes. I think really the government is going to be trying to look at next year and if they can keep these flows reduced next year. I think that's going to be more of a focus than necessarily where exactly the numbers have ended up this year. We know they fluctuate year on year. It's going to be far more about the trend going through next year and the year after towards the general election.
Oh, heck, yeah, that's a long time to wait for this all to continue, isn't it, John? Thanks very much indeed. Well, on that issue, let's talk to our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. And I know, Mark, I mean, you've been saying, haven't you, that, you know, certainly some Labour MPs were trying to claim a victory in that we hadn't had crossings for 28 days. I mean, the weather situation proves that's an absolute nonsense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think in terms of the government's determination to stop the boats, to coin a phrase from Rishi Sunak there, or smash the gangs, to be more accurate, from Sir Keir Starmer. You never hear him talking about smashing the gangs anymore. It's all about international partnerships. There's an imperative. They want to get those numbers down, and you know, talking about, oh, they'll wait till next year or nearer the election. No, they want those numbers down now. They've had a year and a half. Remember, they had pretty much half of last year as well, which they could rightly argue, well, look, they're taking over from the Conservatives. They've got to allow some time for the policies to come through. The difference this year is that, you know, they've had a whole year, a good run at it, with policies that have been implemented. And these policies have shown no difference whatsoever. In fact, just the opposite. The trend has been in completely the wrong direction. So yes, no one's saying that you're expecting to see, you know, very, very few boats crossing, but at least some indication that the policies you're implementing are making a bit of a difference. But that is not the case, where now with 40,000 plus having crossed, and it was 718, give or take one or two on either side, because we're counting an awful lot of numbers, but our producer Chris counting the boats as they came in yesterday. And then again last night, about just after 11, another small boat made it to UK waters with another 51 migrants on board. So well over 770 for the day that crossed. And today the weather's closed in again, and the weather is a determining factor at the moment. That's sadly the truth of it, because the policies that the government are implementing, such as they are, just don't seem to be making any difference at all.
Mark White, thank you for joining us this morning there on that really important topic. No one knows more than Mark White, really, on that, do they?
No, he's completely across it. It's a depressing picture. Look, I've got a correction for you, because loads of you have been getting in touch on X and things, and thank you for doing so. If you own, about electric cars, if you own an electric car now, from April this year, you now do have to pay road tax.
April this year is in the coming 2026,
no,
as of 2025.
So they brought in road tax, £10 for the first year.
Per month, or is that just for the yearly rate?
£10 for the year.
OK.
But then after, but that's for the first year.
What's next year?
Next year, then it goes to £195, right? Which sort of isn't bad as far as road tax goes, unless you've got a car which is worth more than £40,000. And to be honest, most electric
I was going to say many of them are.
Of that, at which point you have to pay an additional £425 a year for the next 5 years. So that takes it to 600 and odd quid, doesn't it? But then on top of that, you've also got to pay, when it kicks in 2028, you've got to then pay 3p per mile. So actually, it's going to cost you more to sort of tax your electric car than it probably does a petrol car.
I hope Charlie and Emma are listening. But they'll be sat vindicated.
But that doesn't make any sense, does it? Because it's going to cost you more to. It's going to cost you more to run an electric car than it does a petrol car.
The only argument, really, that people will have is the environment, I suppose, and that was kind of the point of them originally. But if it comes to environment and money, especially given the current economic climate, I think I know what a lot of people will be picking.
Option.
Of course.
So thank you for getting in touch with that. I mean, they always were free, and like they were free to drive through London and the congestion charge. So that's changing next year as well.
That was a huge plus, wasn't it, for a lot of people? And it just seems these pluses are starting to wane.
They're all going. So they're making it more expensive than driving a petrol, which seems completely crackers, actually, doesn't it?
It's counterintuitive is what it is.
Oh.
Sorry. There you go.
That was green. Well, very good.
I'd like to impress.
You do. Anyway, should we talk about something else which really matters this morning, and that's these doctors' strikes and all the rest of it, and the flu problems, everything that's going on in the health service. The British Medical Association, which is behind the strikes, has accused the Health Secretary of scaremongering after he warned that strikes before Christmas could push the NHS to collapse.
Well, pharmacist Thorin Govind joins us now. Thorin, obviously, we've been hearing the past couple of days about this, the flu epidemic that we're seeing. We're bracing for a tsunami of flu. It was on the front page of one of the papers this morning. I think it's on People over there, I can see. You know, a lot of people may be worried about this tsunami of flu, as it were. Just how real is the threat?
OK, so we've not reached the peak yet of the flu season. We know that the strain that is circulating right now, there isn't high levels of immunity in the community. And we typically take our lead from Australia. So we see how they manage their flu season, and that helps us with our preparations here. Now, this year, hospital admissions for flu are up compared to last year. Last week, there was an average of about 2,660 patients a day in hospital with flu in England, and that's the highest ever for this time of year. So I think it's a real concern that we are having to deal with this number of this much flu circulating at this time. Again, if you are more vulnerable, that you can get your flu jab on the NHS if you meet those criteria. So it's very important that people think about what they can personally do, but it can take 14 days to kick in for your flu jab as well. So it is a concern.
It's not unreasonable, then, is it, to say that the health service, the NHS, of which pharmacists are part of the, you're the very, very front line of it all, that actually it is going to be under increasing pressure this year, and particularly on the hospital side, if the strikes go ahead?
It's a tough time of year already. Winter pressures, unfortunately, are, all year round. But when you have sections of the workforce where things are not operating like usual, that does create pressure. In terms of community pharmacies on their high street, we always get much busier at this time of year, but also when there are strikes in other part of the health service as well. So they're supporting patients with common conditions more and more. And then just in terms of the hospitals as well, I think we don't always recognise the other people who play a very significant part in making sure that hospitals run. You've got your nurses, your porters, lots of other people. It's not just about doctors who keep our health service running. And it's very important that we're all working together in the best interest of patients. Yeah, and I think we always need to tip our hats to pharmacists. Actually, you do a fantastic job, and you don't, frankly, get the credit or the thanks that you deserve. So thank you very much for all you do. Thorin Govind will speak to you another time very soon, no doubt. Thank you. The pharmacists, really, do so much work, and they're so educated, they're so clever, and they don't get the credit, or frankly, they're really struggling for money, pharmacies, and they're being asked to do more and more.
That's the kind of thing that, obviously that is, on one hand, it's a sensible thing because it keeps people out of A&E and out of GP appointments. But like you say, if they've got a queue out the door and they're trying to do flu jabs, they're trying to do, contraceptive appointments, they're trying to do travel advice, all of these things.
Massive.
That's where funding is necessary, I think. Yeah. Well, it's necessary everywhere when you look at it.
Yeah, well, it is.
Where's the money coming from?
Well, we haven't got any. We're out of cash.
No.
Anyway.
Unless you're increasing the number of trains between Cambridge and Oxford.
Oh, yeah. But that's taking 10 years to put in place. They're not even running. Oh, it's confusing. Right, let's have a look at the weather for you. Here's Greg.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather. It's a wet start this morning across the north and the west as heavy rain continues to move in from the Atlantic. A drier but chilly start across southeast England. And looking at the picture for the morning, we've got outbreaks of heavy rain across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England into Scotland. The rain driving in through the day with some strong winds. The rain turning particularly heavy over southwest Scotland, northwest England over the next 24 hours or so. Met Office amber warning in force for the rain here. Some localised flooding is likely. So do stay tuned to the forecast and updates over the coming days. Some dry weather across across central southern parts through the day, but generally cloudier overall compared to yesterday. But it is the focus of the rain through the day into the evening time across the north of the UK. So looking at the details across Scotland, a wet end to Sunday. That rain's just going to be there all day. Same picture for Northern Ireland and also Northern England. Yellow and amber rainfall warnings in force, where rainfall warnings also coming into force later across parts of Wales as the rain slips a little further southeastwards, but generally staying dry across southeast England, but on the cloudy side. As we head overnight, the band of rain just pushes a little further southeastwards. The rain really building over parts of Cumbria, for example, flooding expected here, and the rain also becoming heavy across Wales during the early hours. Drier though for Northern Ireland and Scotland, and turning cooler here, temperatures in single figures overnight and single figures towards the southeast where it does remain dry. For Monday, rain stretches from southwest England into Wales, the West Midlands, Northern England through the day. It remains here for much of the day. Some tricky travelling conditions are likely. Either side of this band of rain, it's drier, a little brighter. A respite in the weather for Northern Ireland and Scotland. Here, temperatures a little cooler than recent days, but towards the southeast, still reaching around 12 Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Loads of you getting in touch.
Yeah, lots of comments.
Stuart says, there's lots on EVs. Stuart says, shame on some of the comments on electric vehicles. I've had mine for 4 years now, and I'd never go back to petrol or diesel and never ran out of electric.
Meanwhile, David's saying it's always been about range when it comes to EVs. EVs have their place pootling around town locally and using home charging, but serious driving long distances, they're a total pain. Lots of you getting in touch about Jimmy Carr as well. Of course, we'll be talking about that later on. Lots of people having the exact same reaction that I had when I saw this story about this morning about Jimmy Carr and tax. Who's he to comment? How ironic is that? After there was all those reports years ago about him not paying any.
He didn't, yes, he was...
So who's he to comment on who should be paying tax? I mean,
it's an interesting one. If you look at actually what he said, it's not necessarily about taxing, but it's about transfer of wealth. He said there should be, it should be more equal, says the incredibly rich Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
But the transfer of wealth, he says, should not be from taxing the rich. He said there needs to be a transfer of wealth from old to young.
But then that's...
But what you tend to find amongst the older generation, the retired, is they haven't got any money.
No.
They've got enough to manage.
They've got their pension to last them, and then that's it.
That's it.
And Lynn's written in to say the demonisation of the elderly continues. And how often do we see that? It was the same at the budget building up to that. It was issues with pensioners, and now Jimmy Carr's weighing in and saying we should be taxing the old.
I don't know if Jimmy Carr is trying to make a joke out of this or not. I don't.
Well, he's trying to make headlines, maybe.
He's a fantastic comedian.
Oh, he really is.
Brilliant.
Stay in your lane.
But this is very good. But it seems a very odd thing to say when most elderly people in this country get by, and that is it.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, if you want to get in touch, there's lots of ways to get in touch, gbnews.com/yoursay, or also you can become a friend of GB News for free. Here's how.
Join the community and be part of our shows by becoming a friend of GB News. Get a direct line to join the conversations that you hear us talking about every day in our programmes by commenting on Your Say and voting in You Decide polls. Access opinion, analysis and behind-the-scenes videos as we share more from the stories that you see on TV and radio. Plus, watch our shows live and on catch-up anywhere, anytime. If you love our channel, become a friend of GB News for free by scanning the QR code or going to gbnews.com/friend. Don't just watch our programmes, come and be a part of them.
Well, it's time now for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year, an incredible £85,000. If you want to win that, here are all the details you'll need.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to splash on anything you can dream of. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. £85,000 is the biggest cash prize we've ever given away. It's totally tax-free, which means that that every single penny of it will be yours. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, still to come, it's that Jimmy Carr issue. Should we tax the old rather than the rich? We'll debate that next.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Nana Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
And I'm going to start with you. Talk to me about autism and why you got involved with this, because some people don't know the story as to why you set up Anna Kennedy Online.
Well, I have 2 sons. They're now 32 and 35, and I'm proud to say that my eldest son, Patrick, is in Stockholm at the moment on his own, so that's like a big step for him to go on holiday, and he's loving it. So they both were diagnosed fairly young, and the support at the time was just non-existent.
Yeah.
So we had to set up our own school, and then we set up a vocational college for my youngest son, Angelo.
Now, how do you know that they're autistic? Is there a blood test? Is it something where you have a list of symptoms? Or, because some people say, oh, I've got ADHD and this and that, and I think sometimes people conflate it with autism. Are there parallels with the two, or are they totally separate? Because it's confusing.
They're very different from each other, both Patrick and Angelo. So Angelo was diagnosed fairly early at 2.5, 3. He passed all the milestones, and then he just lost everything. His speech, eye contact, didn't want to be touched, didn't even want me to hug him at the time, running from one end of the room to the other, squealing, and it was just like, what is going on? And as a mum, you're thinking, what have I done wrong? Have I done something wrong?
Oh, no.
Patrick was diagnosed fairly early again, but he was premature, and I thought the difficulties that he was having because he was 11 weeks premature, I thought, is it because he had a bit of a difficult start, in and out of hospital. And then he was diagnosed at 4, and then we found out when he was 7, when he was struggling at school. He was finding school difficult, being bullied. So it's an autism spectrum condition, and if you feel that there might be, something that I'm not quite sure, I can't get a handle on it, please go and see your GP and just ask for your child to be assessed. But the difficulty at the minute is the waiting list is so long to get a diagnosis.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
It's 8:30. The comedian Jimmy Carr has proved why he's a comedian and not a politician. Anyway, next story.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, look, he's criticised the budget, fair enough, but he said people in their 20s should be exempt from taxes.
He argued there should be a transfer of wealth from older generations to the young.
Yeah, I can't work out how that works.
Well,
anyway, we're asking this morning, should the elderly face higher taxes whilst the young pay none at all?
Well, joining us now is the economist for the Adam Smith Institute, Mitchell Palmer, and director for Silver Voices, Dennis Reed. Adam, I'll come to yourself first, if that's OK. Now, I'm in my 20s, so actually, I wouldn't mind if the 20 to 30 band didn't pay any tax. But the cynic in me says that that's not maybe what's best. What do you make of these comments from Jimmy Carr?
Well, I guess you're talking to me. But I guess the crucial point to make is that the distinction really isn't between the old and the young. The most important distinction is between those who own property and those who don't. And the reality is that older people got on the housing ladder much earlier. And so I think when we talk about this kind of, intergenerational equity point, the biggest point is that younger people are locked out of the housing market. So I think Jimmy Carr's problem definition might be right, that the generations are unequal, but his solution is probably wrong. And we should look more at making it easier to access housing. But I would note that older people do actually pay not that much tax when we compare their lifetime contributions. So the average state pensioner will draw much more out of his state pension than he provided in payments. And that is for two reasons. Firstly, because this generation of older people will live much longer than their parents, and secondly, because they had fewer children than their parents did. So the burden of paying for the generation of pensions is now spread amongst a much smaller number of younger people. And then the second point on that is that, of course, people over the state pension age do not pay national insurance. So I think there's probably some truth in what Jimmy's saying, although I don't think that justifies a sort of bespoke tax on older people.
Right, there you go, Dennis. You're having it too easy, and it's about time you put your hand in your pocket.
Well, if you excuse the pun, it's a bit rich for Jimmy Carr to be coming down hard on poor and pensioners on modest incomes. I mean, I'm sure that individuals, millionaires, no doubt, like Jimmy Carr, can afford to pay, in fact, a bit more in tax to support older people. And to support our public services. But this intergenerational divide, unfortunately, is being stoked up, not by Jimmy Carr, because I take what he says with a pinch of salt, but by organisations like the Adam Smith Institute, who for some reason seem to think that it's in their interests to generate a battle between the old and the young. And in fact, public opinion doesn't support this at all. Recent polls have shown that only 1 in 5 people think that the triple lock should be scrapped. There's a huge support for older people and the right of older people to be able to live in dignity in their old age. In fact, 80% of older people are worried about heating their homes this winter. There was a recent survey by the Emergency Services Organisation, which shows that 80% of us are worried about heating our homes. Now, that's the reality of the situation, not a few very rich pensioners who are on cruise boats, which is usually the old adage churned out by those who oppose the state pension, basically.
Well, I'm sure in 20, 30 years' time, Jimmy Carr will probably be changing his tune. He'll be saying they should once again tax the rich. But I'll put this to both of you. Is it right for Jimmy Carr, who we know, back in 2012, I think it was, he was embroiled in this controversy around his own tax payments. Is it right, also, as a comedian, not a politician, not as, an expert on any of this, is it right for him to kind of come out and be making these big, broad, sweeping statements about, the way we do the taxes in the UK?
Mitchell, let's start with you.
Well, I think it's, look, we can disagree with his particular proposals, and yes, there's definitely an element of hypocrisy with him saying it, but I think it's really important that we debate these issues, and, sometimes someone making a provoking statement, a bold statement, is a useful way for the two of us, for instance, to now have perhaps a slightly more measured debate that is perhaps slightly more grounded in reality. But without his statement, we wouldn't be having this discussion. And I think it really is important that we don't let sort of sacred cows lie unquestioned. You know, the reality is that looking into the future in the OBR's projections, a very large share of national income will go to spending on the triple lock, but also increase life extending operations under the NHS. And now, that is a great thing that people are living longer, but the reality is that's going to cost quite a lot of money. So we need to work out a way to fairly share the burden of the ageing population between those who have had a long time to accumulate wealth and those who are just starting to accumulate wealth.
I just wonder, Dennis, with all this, do you end up feeling like you're being punished for saving or earning a decent amount of money, if that's the case, but also being punished for living too long?
Well, yes, exactly. And I think Mitchell would hopefully have as long a life as the current generation, if not longer. So I don't know what he's on about, talking about the fact that we're all living longer and therefore pensioners must be punished. I mean, he will be, even though he doesn't think so at the moment, he will actually be a pensioner one day and probably have to rely on the state pension unless he's very lucky, because people aren't saving so much into their private pensions these days. That's the reality. And to throw in the notional value of houses into the equation is quite wrong, really, because people have to live somewhere. It's only a notional amount that is bound up in houses. They need to live somewhere. So unless he's thinking that we can kick older people out and put them into workhouses, that reality is they have to live somewhere, and therefore it's not right really to add the value of houses onto wealth.
All right, Dennis, Mitchell, thank you both very much indeed. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Now, it's still to come. Aidan will be here with all of your sports here on GB News Breakfast with Stephen and Sophie.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the
GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I just want to bring you some breaking news coming out of Australia, Bondi Beach, actually, where there are reports of a shooting in Bondi Beach. Now, just to be clear, because it's very early stages, New South Wales police saying police are responding to a developing incident at Bondi Beach and are urging the public to avoid the area. Anyone at the scene should take shelter. Police are on the scene. More information will be provided as it comes.
Actually, just breaking on Reuters news agency there, Australian police saying 2 people in custody after reports of a shooting at Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
That is literally breaking in the last couple of seconds.
But we're also hearing from other sources, and again, this isn't confirmed, but they're saying it was Hanukkah celebrations at Bondi Beach, and there are reports of some fatalities and woundings. Now, that hasn't been confirmed by the police at this stage. However, obviously, we question why these things happen. If it is a Hanukkah celebration, then that raises more into question, doesn't it, about why this has taken place. But obviously, it is really an emerging story. As we get more details, we will let you know.
Absolutely. But before we talk more about that, shall we have a quick look at the sports with Aidan?
Why not?
What do you want to crack on with, Aidan?
Well, I want to crack on
with
big derby in the northeast of England. Newcastle versus Sunderland. Well, actually, no, it's Sunderland versus Newcastle. And they've not played in 10 years. And I don't think anyone would have predicted in recent years, or certainly in the last couple of years, that with Newcastle's influx of money from Saudi and the fact that Sunderland was struggling so badly all the way down in League One, not 3 or 4 years ago, that these two would be able to meet 10th and 12th in the league. If you think how much Sunderland suffered as well in the last 10 years, had that Netflix documentary that went all around the world, it painted them in a dreadful light. Some people actually, they gained some supporters around the world, around the Far East and places like that, because they just felt sorry for them being such a joke club. Yeah, they've been pulled up by the bootstraps in the last few years. We can hear from their manager, Regis Lebris, about just ahead of today's game.
I think it will be a new story. It's always a new story because teams have changed. The evolution of the club, the evolution of the Premier League. Newcastle are strong as well, and they are well established in the Premier League. Good experience. They played the Champions League 2 days ago, so it will be a great team, a great opponent. So we'll be underdogs, we'll be challengers, but I repeat, we'll play with ambition and desire.
They will be underdogs indeed, so huge game for them today in the North East, and good to have it back as well. We hope they can enjoy it in peace and safely.
All right, Aidan, thank you very much indeed. We're going to keep you up to date with the breaking news from Bondi Beach, where there has been a shooting. Some people, it looks like it could have been a Hanukkah celebration. Police confirming that they have got 2 people in custody at this time, but it's very, very early days. We'll bring you more as we get it. We've got the papers in just a moment as well, but first, here's your European weather.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there. We will see some sunshine across eastern parts of Italy into Greece through the next 24 hours, but very unsettled across the western parts of the Mediterranean. Storm Amelia bringing outbreaks of rain across Madeira into parts of Spain and Portugal. Some heavy rain, strong winds too, but drier interlude into parts of Italy and Greece, but temperatures around 15, 16 Celsius. A few showers towards Turkey as well. Over the next few days, it remains unsettled, particularly across the west, sunnier in the east.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
The National Trust has come under fire after declining a Catholic filmmaker's request to shoot a documentary at St Cuthbert's Cave in Northumberland. St Cuthbert's Cave was a crucial location for the film, as it's traditionally believed to be where the saint's body rested in 875 before he was moved to Durham, where it remains today. The Trust justified its decision by citing the project's religious affiliation, sparking accusations that the heritage charity has breached equality laws and is engaging in illegal religious discrimination. Well, I'm joined now by the filmmaker at the centre of the story, Christian Holden. Christian, thank you for coming in. So, first of all, tell me about St Cuthbert. Why do we mind about St Cuthbert?
Well, St Cuthbert, this historical figure, this great figure of the northeast of England and the Scottish borders area, was renowned for his physical prowess, for his great night vigils. I approached the National Trust to ask permission to film there, and the initial response I had from them by email was that they didn't host any filming of a religious or political nature. I made a phone call to that particular person and explained more about what we hope to do, and that aside from its religious storyline, there's also historical value to it, cultural.
And so you were making the case that St Cuthbert was a cultural icon as well as a religious icon in the northeast of England, a very important political as well as religious figure in the consolidation of Christianity in the northeast.
It's such a critical part of our culture and our heritage, particularly in that area as well. So I was bewildered to be refused to visit and film this site of such importance on the basis of essentially being a Christian filmmaker.
GB News, the People's Channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
We are getting tight for time for the papers. Come to them in a moment. Just to update you, though, on the situation in New South Wales, where police responding to reports of an active shooter at Bondi Beach. It would appear to be some sort of Hanukkah celebrations. There are some... this is from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, actually, who've got some pictures. It's a pretty grim scene. They're saying no deaths have been confirmed at this time. 2 people are in custody. But New South Wales Police saying the operation is ongoing and we are urging people to avoid the area.
Yeah. And if you are there, to take shelter.
Yeah, it's a grim... So this is a serious attack, and we will bring you more as we get those details through.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, Emma Wolfe and Charlie Rowley have got the papers for us this morning. Because we're tired, let's do some lighter stuff.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this hangover myth previously, haven't we? So let's talk about that. I can't lie, I'm a bit devastated because I always thought that this solved all my problems, but maybe not.
Well, no, scientists have found out that actually lining your stomach, which is the thing that we're all told to do, or have a glass of milk, eat some toast, whatever, line your stomach, eat with your booze, actually doesn't work. It really doesn't have any... It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make your hangover any less severe. The top 10 hangover symptoms, which are fantastic, obviously dehydration and thirst, 99% of people get. Blocked runny nose, hunger, phonophobia, which is a fear of sound, asthenia, lack of energy, photophobia. I love clinophilia, which is
what's clinophilia?
Clinophilia, staying in bed syndrome. Isn't that brilliant?
Oh, really? They've got a word for everything now, haven't they?
Like something a lot worse than that.
Clinophilia, it does sound a bit dodgy. The one thing that does help a little is if you come back...
Why are you looking at me?
Come on, guys, get your minds out of the gutter.
I've had...
I had that this morning.
Yeah.
But I made it here on time.
Good.
And in full spirits, without a hangover, I have to say, even though the party was very, very good last night. But
with an open bar.
Well, the one thing that does seem to help a little bit is if you come back from a big night out and you've drunk a lot, is to eat something before bed.
And drink a couple of pints of water.
That's it. Well, that's the other tradition, isn't it? You line your stomach, but then you go to the kebab shop on the way home. I didn't do that last night, I have to say, but then I wasn't particularly in need of it, I must say.
My former boss once said, we've had enough of experts, even though that was taken slightly out of context. But in this case, I think we've had more than our fair share of experts. They don't know what they're talking about, of course. Have something to eat before you go out drinking, and you'll be a lot better than if you didn't have something to eat and you go out drinking.
I was going to say, but you know what, it's not just about a hangover, is it? It's about how drunk you get and how fast. If you've got something in your stomach and you have a few drinks, you know, it's less likely you'll be
I don't think it. I don't think it works. I think what works is having a glass of water or a soft drink in between drinks.
Yeah.
But
I haven't drunk for 5 years, so...
It's the process of it. If you obviously drink a lot in a short space of time, then obviously you're going to have an impact. But if you study your drinks over a period of time, plus eating, in moderation, then you'll be absolutely fine.
No, you won't. Some people don't get hangovers.
You will.
What about if you just drink wine, or if you start having whiskey and sambuca and then mix a bit of vodka and then a wine and then a beer, that's going to make you...
Then you're asking for trouble, I'm afraid.
Well, that sounds like a good night out, if you ask me.
But then you're absolutely fine until you stand up and go outside and the air hits
We
you.
don't know what we're talking about,
I know.
Stephen. We don't know what we're talking about.
You know who's going to be an expert on this is our other reporters who are joining us in about half an hour's time. You can ask them about that. Did any of them have anything to eat?
They've all got clinophilia this morning.
Yeah. Although I have heard from all of them.
Yeah. Oh, well, they're all alive.
Yeah, well, I don't know how alive, but they are. Shall we have a quick look at this? We wish you a muddy Christmas, Charlie. It's not good news.
Well, yes, if you're not out celebrating a Christmas party, you might have to celebrate indoors or stay in, because it's going to be a wet few days in particular parts of the country, particularly Cumbria.
Guess where?
In the northwest. Is that what, you're not from Cumbria?
I'm from
Cumbria. I knew there was a link somewhere along the line.
Both northwest.
10 days, apparently. 10 days of a wet weekend, basically.
It's nothing we're not used to.
Anything the weather forecasters say, I assume the opposite.
See, we've had enough of experts. We've had enough of experts.
I've had enough of experts. They can say it's raining and you look out of the window and it's sunny, so I just take the opposite view.
But it is obviously, a bit of a damp. If you're,
It's a bit miserable. You want a crisp Christmas.
Oh, bit of snow, just a light smattering.
That would be
Little
nice.
bits of snow. White Christmas.
That would be nice. But there you go.
Doesn't look like it. It was like a brown Christmas.
I mean, 4 inches of rain for Cumbria is pretty grim, isn't it? Yeah. Right, you two, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Let's... we just want to bring the very latest on what's going on at Bondi Beach with that unfolding situation there. Our Home and Security editor, Mark White, has got more details. Mark?
Well, horrific scenes that are coming out of this world-renowned beach in Sydney, where thousands of people were gathering, large numbers of people gathering actually to celebrate Hanukkah. Many Jewish people on that beach, and there were reports, and we've seen the video of 2 men firing off what looked to be shotguns down towards the beach, injuring a number of people on the beach itself and causing absolute panic. We've seen video of people just running from the beach area, mass panic in that area, running, trying to jump on buses away from the site where those gunshots were ringing. What we're told, the very latest information that's coming through, is that New South Wales Police have managed to subdue the 2 attackers, one believed to have been shot and seriously injured. There are images that are circulating as well showing what is believed to be one of the suspected attackers on the ground receiving CPR. So this is still an unfolding situation in terms of casualty numbers. Some of the early reports coming through suggesting that 7 people may have been shot, including a police officer, but these numbers always tend to fluctuate and evolve as we get more information coming through. I have to say I've covered so many of these horrific mass casualty events over the years, to me, this absolutely has all the hallmarks of a terrorist incident, not only because of the Hanukkah connection there, but just the way in which you didn't have one, one person for all manner of reasons can sort of descend into some kind of violent episode. But when you got two together very clearly picking off and coordinating an attack on people, it absolutely smacks to me anyway of a terrorist incident. That kind of information will be confirmed, I'm sure, in the minutes and hours ahead. But what you have at the moment is a very serious incident unfolding on Bondi Beach, known, as I say, to so many people around the world. If you've gone to Australia, you're probably headed there because it is such a world-renowned tourist destination and very popular, especially at this time of the year.
Yeah, OK, Mark, I know you're going to keep digging and get the very latest information for us for the next hour. Thanks very much indeed for now. It is a shocking incident. As Mark said, two people have been taken into custody. Mark reporting there that one of them was shot and is pretty seriously injured. But nevertheless, clearly some people have been shot. We don't know we have no official figures on any fatalities or injuries at this time, but it is a shocking situation.
Yeah, and as always with this kind of story, very fast-moving. We'll continue to get developments and details from Home and Security Editor Mark White throughout the day here on GB News, so do stay with us. But now let's take a look at your weather.
It's the big one. Your chance to win a whopping £85,000 in tax-free cash. The largest cash prize we've given away to date. That's like over £7,000 a month extra in your bank account each month for 12 whole months. That's a year of yes. Yes to holidays, yes to treats, yes to shopping trips, yes to home improvements. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
But this is story. It's one of these stories. I love these flags, don't you? Doesn't everybody love our flag? Isn't it a wonderful, bright, brilliant, colourful representation of this wonderful, most of the time, country we live in? Or not? Certainly not in Scarborough, evidently, because a Scarborough businessman says he has been left disgusted after being fined more than £2,300 for erecting England and Union flags in North Yorkshire. William Haylett used his cherry-picking, see on your screen there, his cherry-picking vans, which are normally used for high-level property maintenance, to string up flags across the town, along with tying England and Union flags to lampposts across Filey and Whitby. Sounds great to me. Or is it? We've seen this pretty much all summer, haven't we, where councils have taken down flags. These flags, these lovely, bright, colourful ones, but many councils have left flags of other countries up, in particular the Palestine one.
You know, our town's just been down on the press for, a couple of years now, and it's upsetting to see, local people, struggling and all that lot, and just down and depressed.
What reaction have you got from the local community, from people living where you've been putting your flags up?
Oh, it's just absolutely, everyone's they're just giving up, do you know what I mean? Seriously giving up. And what it is, I've got to root, I've been out every night, digging deep into root at community, and it's just like we've been failed through every system going, and now we've just had enough, man, do you know what I mean? It's upsetting, it makes me, makes me really upset.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It is 9 o'clock and this is GB News Breakfast, and we're kicking straight off with the breaking news coming from Australia this morning, where police are reacting to what they're calling a developing incident. It's a serious shooting at Sydney's Bondi Beach. Multiple shots fired, 2 police being held in custody.
However, the police say the operation is ongoing and they're urging people to avoid the area, and if you're in the area, to take shelter. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's office has confirmed it is aware of an active security situation unfolding in Bondi, saying we urge people in the vicinity to follow information from New South Wales Police. That's a spokesperson from the Prime Minister.
Our security editor, Mark White, is across all of this and joins us now. And I have to say, Mark, emerging online now are some pretty horrific videos.
Yes, and what we can say at this hour is that the 2 suspected attackers have been subdued, brought into custody as far as we know. We're bringing you videos. Some of the videos are fairly graphic in nature, just a warning to our audience there. We tried to sanitize them as best we can. You could see from the images one of the shotguns on the ground there. 2 suspects were involved in this incident from the information that we've been able to glean. There are other images of suspects on what looked like a little bridge shooting down towards the beach area, just firing off these pump-action shotguns by the looks of them, certainly from that one by the tree which the police officer is guarding there. There's also images that seem to show one of the suspected attackers. Well, there's images of 2 of them on the ground. Locals, understandably very angry, coming up and kicking out at those on the ground. Then there's images of one of the suspects, it seems, receiving CPR with suggestions that they've been very seriously injured. In terms of a motivation, it certainly has all the hallmarks of a terrorist incident. That has not been confirmed as yet by the Australian authorities. They are talking about it, obviously, as a major incident and certainly a mass casualty event with multiple people targeted. But what was taking place down on this world-renowned beach, Bondi Beach, at the time were celebrations for the Jewish festival Hanukkah, with many Jewish people in that location at that time. It was well publicised that this festival would be taking place and that many people from the Jewish community would be there as well, which of course just raises the suspicions that this was an attack absolutely targeting the Jewish community. As I say, multiple pieces of video that are now surfacing. We're endeavouring to get them cut and to bring them to you. But you can see, obviously, the panic on this stretch of beach where many people had been gathering, now just running in all directions, trying to get away from the gunfire at that time. We just should reiterate that we now understand that the 2 suspected attackers have been brought into custody. There's no suggestion from the police in New South Wales that there are any outstanding suspects. So the immediate threat in terms of this marauding attack seems to be over. But now we have the quick-time emergency service response to triage all of the injured to get them to area hospitals as soon as possible.
Mark, we're seeing on X a post from the Australian Jewish Association acknowledging this incident. They've said, please pray for the Australian Jewish community. We warned so many times that this was coming. We never once felt the government took the warning seriously. And of course, this is a Hanukkah event today. And I know you'll remember earlier this year on Yom Kippur, we saw the incidents at the synagogue in Manchester that we reported on extensively. It just seems now that these attacks are coming. It's clearly not a coincidence. I think we can say that fairly, can't we, Mark?
Yeah, what we have seen with regard to the Jewish community over many, many years, they are one sector of society who, in terms of the threat level, face more of a threat than most people in society. But since the Gaza war, that threat level has just skyrocketed in terms of incidents that we have seen here in this country. As you absolutely mentioned, the Manchester synagogue attack, but many other incidents right across Europe and indeed across the world targeting people from the Jewish community, with those that claim they are standing up for the oppressed people of Gaza. Whatever the motivation, there is a very significant threat. There always has been, but it is so much greater now against the Jewish community. And that will be, of course, factored in to the thinking of the police and the security services in Australia as they try to determine who these two individuals are. They will have been able to, I'm sure, get a firm idea already of who these people are, because as soon as they're there and on the ground, they're in there with these electronic fingerprinting devices now, looking for identifying documents. If these two individuals are known to the authorities, they'll know by now who they are, what the potential threat is, and who they may well be aligned to. It's possible, of course, that they're not known to the authorities, and then, of course, it's a slightly slower process of trying to dig into the background of individuals. But that comes, you know, that's a sort of investigation that runs in tandem. It can be slightly slower time, but what you've got at the moment is the quick time response to this mass shooting event in which people were targeted on that beach and in the surrounding area. It's about trying to get to those that were injured, get them the best possible care in the quickest possible time, because that obviously then means the potential for an optimum outcome in terms of surviving those injuries is greatly enhanced. So it's about getting to them quickly. I was listening to the scanners for New South Wales Fire and Ambulance Service just a minute or two ago, and they're staging in an area near Bondi Beach and then moving down towards the area where the casualties are.
We are just getting some statements through from the Australian Prime Minister, Mark. Two segments here. The first one, he says, the scenes in Bondi are shocking and distressing. Police and emergency responders are on the ground working to save lives, which shows how serious it all is. My thoughts, he says, are with every person affected.
Then he's added, I've just spoken to the AFP Commissioner and the New South Wales Premier. We're working with the New South Wales Police and we will provide further updates as more information is confirmed. Of course, Mark, you and I both know that with this kind of story, details will change, numbers will fluctuate, but this is one of those fast-moving stories where, you know, things will just continue to develop throughout the day as the police release more information.
Yes, absolutely, and then we'll get reaction, of course, as we always do from world leaders. I'm just trying to look to see if any of our politicians have been commenting this morning already. Nothing as such that I can see, but of course we are very much in the early stages of this. This is an incident that's really just unfolded in the last hour, and people just desperately trying to get the facts together. And the priority, of course, for the emergency services at the moment is just to get the scene secured and to try to ensure that there is no wider threat. I mean, you can see from the images there's so many people. What it is very difficult for the police when responding to an incident like this is to try to determine whether actually there are any more suspects out there, because they think they've got two people in custody now, but are there any more where shots coming from different directions? And add to that the confusion you get from eyewitnesses. So you have police officers that shot back at the two attackers, and then eyewitnesses reporting hearing shots at a different location, but actually those shots are coming from the police officers responding to this. So this is kind of, it all feeds into the confusion, understandably, that there is around these incidents. So that's built, working their way through that fog in the first minutes of an incident like this and trying to determine what the wider threat might be is a priority, alongside, of course, dealing with those who've been so badly injured by this. And one of the reports suggesting that a police officer may have been injured as well. No official confirmation as yet from New South Wales Police.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, Martin, what we've seen from previous terror attacks, if this does prove to be such, is that often you get multiple attacks at multiple locations. I mean, it depends whether this proves to be something which is a bigger coordinated event. And we've said we've no evidence of that at the moment, but that, as you say, got to be a priority, well, not just for the local police, but the wider security services, actually, over a country as big as Australia. That is a huge problem, and that's going to be occupying everybody's mind in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you make a very, very pertinent point there, Stephen, because it's not just the Hanukkah celebrations. We are approaching a time of the year where it is a huge Christian festival in Western nations and Christian nations right around the world. And it is known that at this time of the year, there's an elevated terror threat because it's just the time of year, given the symbolism that terrorists will look to exploit and often go after events like Christmas markets. And we know there have been warnings about the potential for elevated terrorist threats in Western nations, not least because of what has been playing out in the Middle East, in Gaza, in Syria, in Lebanon, of course in Yemen, and many other countries. So there is no doubt there is an elevated terror threat right around the globe. This particular, as we lead up to Christmas itself, but this from if it turns out to be a terrorist attack, as it certainly bears all the hallmarks of being, seems to have been targeting the Jewish community at this event on Bondi Beach. But as I say, we are in this Christian festival now as well, where here in the UK and elsewhere, the authorities absolutely are on their guard for the potential for what they call vulnerable, crowded places to be targeted. It's where lots of people come together in a way that you don't necessarily do for other parts of the year. They gather for special church services, for the switching on of Christmas lights, for Christmas markets, all of the above. Lots of people are out in bigger numbers gathering together, and that provides a very significant problem for the security services managing the threat, of course, for those security teams that just manage specific events and want to ensure that they pass off without incident.
Just to bring a few updates that we're getting in via the Reuters news agency in the last few minutes. They're saying The Guardian is reporting that 6 people have been taken to hospital. Of course, that's not something we verified, but that is coming in via the Reuters news agency. They've also got some details here. The Sydney Morning Herald, this is again via the Reuters news agency. Sydney Morning Herald said multiple people have been injured. And then they've got a quote from an eyewitness, Mark, 30-year-old local Harry Wilson, who witnessed the shooting. He says, quote, "I saw at least 10 people on the ground and blood everywhere." So that's an eyewitness report from the Reuters news agency there. Again, things are going to keep developing here, and it's important not to speculate too much. It's important to wait until we have these details confirmed by the appropriate sources, isn't it, Mark, at times like this?
I will say, though, in terms of motivation, we've talked about it being Hanukkah. The Israeli President, Isaac Herzog, has said, "Our sisters and brothers in Sydney have been attacked by vile terrorists in a very cruel attack on Jews who went to light the first candle of Hanukkah on Bondi Beach." And, I mean, that reaction from Israel actually is significant, Mark. I mean, it is a clear marker, from their perspective at least, that they believe this was a specific attack on Jews.
Yes, there's no doubt that Israeli intelligence will have been liaising with their counterparts in Australia with a view to determining exactly what has happened. And as you say, these statements don't come out in this way. I wonder if we could just be taken off open talk back for a second there. These statements don't come out without them weighing up what the situation is in terms of the threat to Jewish people, the Jewish community, and clearly they feel that this was absolutely targeted at those attending this Hanukkah event. We should say as well, with regard to speculation, it's, the authorities will always say don't speculate, but what are you to do if you're covering an event like this? You get a lack, and you often get a lag in terms of the information that comes from the authorities, because absolutely understandably, their first priority is not to service us. Their first priority is to deal with the ongoing situation, the injured, get the suspects in custody, and ensure there's no wider threat out there. So we're not their first priority. But in the absence of that, of course, we're then relying on what we're hearing from, as you say, from the likes of Israel, from eyewitnesses on the ground. So inevitably, there are facts that come in that change throughout. That's always the same with these emerging situations where you get a number that may have been injured, that may have been killed, and that changes throughout the course of the day. And all we can do is honestly just try and bring what we know and just caveat that and attribute that to where it's coming from. And the information, as I say, that we can see from ourselves from the video is this absolutely was a horrific incident. 2 suspects that we could see firing with what seemed to be pump action shotguns from a bridge area down on towards where many people were gathered on Bondi Beach. And you're looking at these live images now, looking down at the absolutely immense emergency services response. You can see as the shot widens out there, Bondi Beach to the right of the shot, and the emergency services staging on the roadways to the left as one of the heli-med flights in that area as well responds.
OK, Mark, I know you're going to keep digging into this for us. In the meantime, we're just trying to talk to Elon Levy, former spokesman for the State of Israel, and we appreciate your time, Elon, at this difficult time, where it's clear from your president that this is you're seeing this directly as an attack on Jews.
Yes, look, I'm pretty shaken now. I'm just in the middle of texting many friends I have in Sydney. I was there last year. Some of them were at the event. Some of them have friends who have been shot, and they're in absolutely no doubt this was a targeted attack on the Jewish community of Australia. And we don't know who the perpetrators were. Were these Islamists, far-left radicals, neo-Nazis? Was it state-sponsored or was it spontaneous? But the fact we don't know just tells you how severe the all-out assault on Jews has been in the last 2 years since the October 7th massacre. The October 7th massacre in Israel was the opening shot of a global war against Jews. We saw it in the horrific shooting in Manchester on Yom Kippur. We saw it in the shooting at the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., and we're seeing it now in Australia. October 7th inspired elements around the world. Anti-Semitism is at an all-time high, at least for this century, and Jews are now feeling they're being hunted.
Elon, just to bring a break in line here, we're just seeing New South Wales ambulance spokesperson has said 13 people have been taken to hospital after that shooting on Bondi Beach. And you were mentioning there that, you've got friends, people that you know who will have been attending this event for Hanukkah. As I covered the incident outside the synagogue on Yom Kippur and speaking to members of the Jewish faith there, they were telling me that they weren't surprised that this has happened. Is that something, a feeling that you share?
Well, I have a friend who just texted me saying until now he was proud to say that Australia is a country where no one had ever been killed for being Jewish, and that is no longer true now. I spoke at Bondi Beach last year, actually. There was a vigil for 6 of the Israeli hostages who were murdered in a tunnel under Gaza. And there was a heavy police presence. And there was a heavy police presence because this is exactly the scenario that Jews in Australia feared. Let's remember, it was just a few months ago that the Australian government expelled the Iranian ambassador after it found that Iran was behind 2 attacks on the Jewish community in Australia, a firebombing at a synagogue in Melbourne and another Jewish cafe in Sydney. We know that there have been state elements that have been deliberately fueling and targeting violence against Jews. But we also know there has been a huge hate movement out there for the last 2 years that has been trying to paint Israel and anyone associated with it as evil and targeting them for violence. So this is absolutely a scenario that Jews in Australia have been fearing, that many hoped would never come. But deep down, I think some people feared eventually would.
Can I just pick up on something you said there, Elon? Is your friend on the ground then confirming at least one fatality?
I'm hearing reports of fatalities. I haven't seen anything confirmed officially by ambulance services, but those are the reports that are beginning to spread through in certain groups.
OK, well, I mean, what does Israel do as a state in terms of the many, many, many international Jewish communities around the world? I mean, you have people on every continent. And this is a threat. This is a threat to each and every one of them. What can you do anything as a nation?
As I said, since October 7th, this has been a global war against Jews, and Israel can do multiple things. The first thing is to offer a safe haven for Jews who decide they no longer want to live in the West under armed protection and they'd rather come to Israel. Israel can also help them with their community security and helping them protect communal institutions. Israel can also work with foreign governments to understand how the Iranian regime, Hamas, and other Islamist groups are trying to fuel violence in their own countries. And I think another thing we can do is to help people understand that the anti-Israel hate movement around the world is bringing political violence to the streets of the West. Again, we don't know who did this, but when you have crowds through the center of Sydney chanting from the river to the sea, and death to the IDF, and globalize the Intifada. Globalize the Intifada means globalize terrorism. It means globalize political violence against Jews and Israelis. Globalize the Intifada is exactly what we just saw with this terror attack against Jews on Bondi Beach. And I think we have to make people understand that when these radical protesters are marching through the streets, these aren't lovey-dovey peace slogans. These are calls for violence. And this is what they were asking for.
Elon Levy, we appreciate your time, especially as it's very difficult for you and your friends out there. So thanks for sparing that time for us this morning.
I think we can bring in now a member of the Israeli Knesset, Sharon Haskell. She's joining us now. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, lots coming out from various sources on the ground, but just what do you make of what we know so far?
Well, this is absolutely heartbreaking and devastating. From what I hear from the media, there are already reports of 9 people who were murdered, executed in this vile attack. This had happened in Bondi Beach, next to the Bondi Beach Pavilion. Now, you need to understand this is an area that during Christmas and during Hanukkah, there's thousands of people, thousands of civilians who go and celebrate their own holiday, whether it's Hanukkah or Christmas or anything else. They go to the beach, they have a barbecue, and they just go to have fun. This is the celebration, from what I hear, that Chabad, a synagogue in Bondi Beach, have organized there to celebrate with families, with children. And it's meant to be a celebration of light. And unfortunately, this had turned into a mass murder scene, a terrorist attack where at least 9 have been killed. It's been reported that more than 60 have been injured as well. I follow up with great concern. I actually lived there. I lived in Sydney for 6 years. This was my home. I worked there. I was part of the community, and I am I'm really anxious and worried about my friend and my family. I've been ringing all morning to hear whether they are okay, just to get the news, to understand that they survived it, that they are alive. Some of them were nearby, but this is absolutely heartbreaking. This is a devastating event.
It is utterly horrific. What I struggle with all of this is people may have a problem with what the Israeli government has done over the last few years in the wake of the massacre you suffered. But even if they do have an issue with that, that's nothing to do with these innocent people celebrating Hanukkah on a beach in Sydney, is it? So you must feel like a people's who is just under constant threat now.
Look, this is pure racism, okay? This is pure hatred towards Jews. I mean, look, what Israel is fighting is not a territorial war, okay? This is a cultural and a religious war. We were attacked on 6 different fronts by radical jihadist armies. And since then, we've been in a war of defending ourselves, defending our community, defending the only Jewish state in the world. And unfortunately, many governments and their rhetoric, not understanding in depth, backing some of these jihadist armies, have spread and inflated more hatred and more violence, not just towards Israelis, but towards Jews. As if, a lot of the rhetoric that was used and the attempt to try and call it in different names or that was justifying violence against Jewish community in your streets, in your cities, including Australia. For 2 years, I've been calling on the Australian government to act against racism, to act against acts of violence against the Jewish community, and to stop using rhetoric that is actually inciting against those Jewish communities. It is all about that. And trust me, we know that the first ones are Jews. The next are Christians. What do you think is happening all around Europe in Christmas markets where some of them can't even, be open safely, where you see car rampage and people murdering them in Christmas markets? This is an attack, not just a religious attack, not just on the religious values, but on the values that we all hold dear: freedom of religion, freedom of expression, liberties, individual liberties. I mean, the last 2 years have been so difficult. Many synagogues have been attacked, Jewish schools, Jewish daycares. I mean, it was only a matter of time. And I said that in multiple interviews in Australia, that if the government does not act now, if it doesn't stop rhetoric that gives justification to hurt the Jewish community, it will end in blood. And it did. And I'm furious about it, because Australia used to be one of the safest places for the Jewish community. I lived there for 6 years. Not anywhere else in the world was as safe as in Sydney, in Bondi Beach, for the Jewish community. And within 2 years of folding, of backing to radical voices, to extreme voices, to internal politics, all these decisions, it has nothing to do with foreign policy, and it has everything to do with internal politics of radical groups who are very vocal and very violent, pressuring and pressing on local government, on local council. And that's how you see that ending up with a horrifying massacre and a Hanukkah celebration on the beach, a holiday that's meant to be light and happiness and children running around and playing with dreidels and lighting candles. And look how it ends, with more than 9 people dead, with more than 60 people injured. And let me tell you this does not end with the Jews. I know that. Look, years ago.
Forgive me, Sharon Haskell. We are running out of time. We're coming to the end of our programme. But we really do appreciate you talking to us. We know it's hugely difficult for you and for every, not just every Jewish person actually involved in watching this, but actually everyone of a decent mindset watching this. It's difficult, but we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we can go now to GB News Home and Security Editor Mark White, who has got the latest line for us. Mark, what can you tell us about this horrific situation unfolding in Bondi Beach?
Well, for the first time, official confirmation now of multiple fatalities as a result of this shooting attack at Bondi Beach. The New South Wales Police putting out a statement confirming that there have been multiple fatalities. They're not putting a number on those who have died as a result of the shooting. Also, we're hearing that 2 police officers now, we'd heard 1 before, but we're now hearing 2 police officers have been shot and injured. Again, they are not giving us any indication as to what the severity of those injuries is concerned. New South Wales Police also speaking on the issue around Hanukkah and whether this was specifically the targeting of the Jewish community who were gathered in significant numbers in that area to celebrate Hanukkah. They say they are aware, obviously, of the Hanukkah event and that significant numbers of Jewish people were there, but it's too early for them to say that there is any definitive link, and they are asking to avoid speculation. Well, you heard, of course, from Israeli politicians there. They are very clear about what has happened here. We have just had a statement also through from Anthony Albanese, the Australian Premier. He says, the scenes in Bondi are shocking and distressing. Police and emergency responders are on the ground working to save lives. My thoughts are with every person affected. I've just spoken, he said, to the AFP Commissioner and with the New South Wales Premier. We're working with the New South Wales Police and will provide further updates as more information is confirmed. And he finishes by saying, I urge people in the vicinity to follow information from the New South Wales Police. You're now looking at nighttime images from the overhead helicopter of the media channels there, looking down onto Bondi Beach. You can see to the right of the image the beach itself leading down to the sea, and then that roadway that is illuminated by all of the flashing lights of the emergency services who are staging in this part of Sydney with a view to dealing with what is a mass casualty event, with New South Wales Police confirming now that there have been multiple fatalities. We know, of course, that multiple people have also been injured. We've seen the images of people being triaged by the medical services on the ground. We should also add confirmation now from New South Wales Police that 2 suspects have been, in the words of this statement, neutralised. There are some images that show one of the suspects on the ground receiving CPR from a police officer with indications that that suspect was shot. And we are working perhaps to bring you a piece of video that we've seen, but I can describe it in the meantime, which is just the most incredible image of a fearless member of the public who it appears, runs up to one of the suspects, jumps on him, grabs him, and wrestles the pump-action shotgun from this suspect, trains that shotgun on the suspect. There are sounds of shots ringing out, but I'm not sure because it's on the long end of the lens in the distance whether this is that member of the public actually firing at the suspect or these are other shots with regard to the second suspect. But just the most incredible heroic action by a member of the public, a man who runs up to one of these suspected attackers and wrestles this shotgun from the grip of this attacker.
All right, thank you indeed, Mark. Right, we are changing the format of the Camilla Tominey show this morning, as you can imagine, with this tragic news out of Australia that there has been a mass shooting on Bondi Beach, one of the most famous beaches in the world. We do not have confirmed numbers yet, but we do believe that there have been fatalities. The New South Wales Ambulance Service have confirmed that they are treating 13 people for injuries. The shooting took place at a party to celebrate the beginning of Hanukkah, the lighting of candles to mark that Jewish celebration. We've heard from Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, describing this attack as shocking and distressing. You are, I need to warn you on this Sunday morning, going to see some very, very distressing imagery that we have blurred out in order to respect those who have been caught up in this absolute atrocity. We are waiting on confirmed numbers. I think it's also important at this point when you're watching and listening to GB News that we give you accurate figures and not be reliant on unconfirmed reports. So as soon as we get those numbers, we will, of course, bring them to you. What we do know is that 2 suspects have been neutralised. There are unconfirmed reports that one of the gunmen has been shot. We don't know whether that is true or not. We don't even know if one of the gunmen has been killed. But again, we will bring that to you. You're looking at live footage. It's currently 8:37 p.m. in Sydney. So police officers there have launched a mass operation to clear that beach. Eyewitnesses suggest that there were more than 50 gunshots heard. Panic scenes as people rushed from the sea and the sand to safety. Drone footage has shown the gunman seemingly on a roof, shooting from a roof in the nearby area. We've heard reaction from members of the Israeli government, including Isaac Herzog, saying that this was an attack on the Australian Jewish community. We've also heard from Elon Levy, who is a former spokesman for the State of Israel, saying exactly the same, saying that he has got friends and relatives who may have been caught up in this tragedy. Also heard from Sharon Haskell there, who is a member of the Knesset, saying that once again, in the aftermath of that attack on the Manchester synagogue, that it seems as if this has been a perpetrated attack on the Jewish community on one of the most holiest days in their calendar. Let's speak now to journalist and broadcaster Jonathan Sasradotti, who joins us now. Thank you very much indeed for being on the line with us, Jonathan. Very difficult day for you. We've all got relatives. I think many, many people listening and watching this will know people in Australia. My brother lives in Australia. I've been to Bondi Beach many times. Again, this appears to be a targeted attack on the Jewish community.
Camilla, this is dreadful news, not just for Jewish people, not just for people who know people in Australia, but really for everyone, because this is the sort of attack that we're seeing taking place more and more around the world. And of course, this being targeted, as it would seem, at Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah makes this very difficult for a Jewish community, which internationally has really struggled in recent years with increasing anti-Semitism and increasing attacks, terrorism spreading around the world. And Australia certainly hasn't been immune. Back in December 2024, there was the Adass Israel synagogue firebombing, this arson attack on the synagogue. In January 2025, in Sydney, there was synagogues targeted with swastikas and attempted arson again. In July 2025, we had in East Melbourne an arson attack at a synagogue while people people were inside it. 2025 saw a high volume of anti-Jewish incidents in Australia. And we know that in August of this year, Australia publicly blamed Iran for orchestrating anti-Semitic arson attacks and expelled Iranian diplomatic staff. So it's very important to note that this is also potentially part of something which is far more coordinated. And even if this individual attack isn't, it's part of a climate of rising hatred, rising persecution and rising murder of Jewish people, which is taking place in Australia, but also around the world and here in the UK. And so this should provide a very stark warning to governments in the West, including our own here in the UK, that Jewish people don't just need more security, more physical, hard, kinetic security at things like Hanukkah celebrations, which we will be starting this evening for the next 8 days here in the UK, often very publicly. But we actually need protection from the government and from police in a way that stops this happening in the first place. And they've been completely failing to do that, both in Australia and here in the UK, in allowing calls for terrorism on the streets, calls for intifada, in allowing people to march week in, week out in ways which have been intimidating and dangerous for Jewish people. And it's not hyperbole on my part to say this. We saw 2 people killed in Manchester in synagogue on Yom Kippur only a few weeks ago, and now we're seeing this happening in Australia. There is an international crisis going on to do with hatred and persecution of Jewish people, targeting of Jewish people because they're Jewish, killing of Jewish people. And it's happened here, it's happened across Europe, it's happening in Australia. This is something that the world needs to deal with. And, you know, to see Keir Starmer tweet out a Hanukkah greeting just minutes after this without even mentioning it on X was also extraordinary. It's about time that the government and the police here in Australia, everywhere around the world, took seriously this responsibility to stop Jewish people and other people being targeted by terrorists, by killers, by gunmen, by arsonists.
Jonathan, just to clarify on that point about Keir Starmer, I mean, obviously it looks to me to have been a scheduled tweet to be sent out by the Prime Minister to mark Hanukkah, saying, as Jewish communities come together to celebrate Hanukkah, I send my warm wishes to families across the UK and around the world. May the Festival of Lights bring hope, peace and comfort. That's been scheduled for 8:59. Clearly, the news of this horrific attack were unfolding at that point, Jonathan. To be fair to the Prime Minister, his wife is Jewish. I mean, he is in tune with the Jewish community where he lives and around the country.
Well, I would say he's in tune with the Jewish community, I'm sorry. And I would say that the government of this country, that 10 Downing Street, that the Prime Minister, that the press office have plenty of time to react to breaking news. They have time to react to breaking news when it's about anything else, not to react to it when it's about Jewish people being killed on Hanukkah, the very thing his scheduled tweet for. I'm sorry, I don't accept that at all, just because his wife has Jewish heritage. I'm sorry. Well,
we await for him to update his X feed with, of course,
the rest of us were up and watching this as it happened live through the internet. The Prime Minister has a phone, so does his press team. There is no excuse, sorry, none.
All right, no, fair enough. You've made your case on that. Let's just go back to this appalling incident then unfolding in Bondi Beach. What can you tell me, Jonathan, about the community, the Jewish community in Sydney, living around that area? And is that celebration of Hanukkah, that candle lighting celebration, something that takes place there every year?
Well, listen, I'm not very familiar with Sydney as a place for the Jewish community. I do actually have some family there, but it's many years since I've been there. But there are many Jewish people living in Sydney. And in fact, Hanukkah around the world is quite widely marked and celebrated by Jewish people, and quite publicly. So I think that's one of the things that's important to acknowledge here, which is a lot of Jewish festivals, the more traditional high holy days, as they're called, which don't include Hanukkah, are marked in synagogues and people go and pray. But Hanukkah is actually commemorating both a military and also a spiritual victory of the Jews against, let's say, forced assimilation, forced change from their ways in the 2nd century BCE, when the Seleucid Greek regime sought to erase Jewish religious life and ban core practices, and they trashed the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and they wanted to stop Jews effectively carrying on their practices there. And there was a temptation among Jews in that period to assimilate, seeing Greek culture as a kind of powerful and prestigious modernity, but the Maccabees actually fought against it, and the miracle of the light that's marked by the lighting of candles at Hanukkah is in memory of the idea, the story, that one vial of oil which had remained pure from the trashing of the temple actually lasted 8 days instead of one. Now that's why you see these public candle lightings that go on in places like Sydney, and in fact across the world. It's something that Jewish people are very proud to do outside of synagogues. It's not a synagogue-celebrated festival, but that's why it makes it all the more a target, I suppose, for anybody who wishes to attack Jews for their practice. And so it moves from being this historical and symbolic festival to being one that actually has very scary echoes today, at a time when Jews are being constantly targeted. And I'm afraid that what we've seen today in Australia is just a repetition of that.
All right, Jonathan Sasrodoti, thank you very much indeed for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Camilla.
Thank you. Let's speak now to our home security editor, Mark Blight, with the latest on what has happened this evening on Bondi Beach. Mark, what do we know?
Well, some very concerning news from Australian media now widely reporting that at least 10 people have been killed after this attack, and some imagery that I've just seen, which is just absolutely horrific, of multiple bodies lying, some with faces covered, with people and members of the emergency services giving CPR, desperately trying to save the lives of other individuals there. It's understood from some of the reporting that's coming out, although not officially confirmed as yet, from New South Wales Police, who say they're still trying to determine the exact motivation here, but it may have been the precise moment when the first candles were being lit to mark Hanukkah, that those that were involved in that particular ceremony were targeted. And it seems that a group were targeted there down on the beach before the two gunmen sort of retreated a little bit further out. They were shooting as well from an elevated position on a small bridge, shooting down towards that area on Bondi Beach itself. And in addition, of course, to that very grim news of some 10 plus fatalities, there are multiple people injured. The last number put out by New South Wales Police was 13 in terms of those that have been triaged and then taken to area hospitals. There is, we're told from New South Wales, no wider threat, in that they believe they have, in their words, Camilla, neutralised the threat, with 2 suspects who had opened fire taken down, arrested. Reports that one was at the very least seriously injured.